At 6 p.m. March 8th, 2022. This is the Town of Windermere Council meeting. And our agenda Appropriations, fathers, homes, make decisions on behalf of our town and our community. We ask that you keep all of our first that protect us around the land day, especially all those suffering from pain. We do with our open forum and public comment. I'll remind everyone that you have a 3-minute limit. I'll call everyone's name, and when you do come to the podium, if you'll please give your name and your address for the record. Make sure that we can all hear you. We will begin with Ms. Diane Finelli.
Good evening. My name is Diane Finelli, from West 2nd Avenue, Windermere. And I want to address the boat house issue. I am one of the owners of both. I have boat house too. And as the mayor explained to me, I own the wood, the state of Florida owns the water underneath it, land underneath it, and this little strip of land, which is actually, if it's in front of it, it's what we lease. We don't lease the actual boathouse. And that's also been confirmed by the town manager, Robert Smith, that those boathouses are in fact owned by the individual residents. Once, as a licensed interior designer for over 30 years, a lot of it in the commercial arena. Once these boathouses are turned from residential to commercial use, all those boathouses, it's not that it's going to be huge expense to the taxpayers, not just $36,000 aesthetic facelift. It's going to involve ADA accessibility. It's going to involve making sure those doorways are at least 3 feet. The walkways to them are wide enough for a wheelchair, and once you get inside, it has to have a 5-foot turnaround. So this expense to taxpayers is huge, much more than what has been budgeted, in my professional opinion. I ask the town council to please reconsider this and keep them residential. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Finelli. Next is Ms. Ashley Walker.
I'd like to wait until my case start for the wilderness at 11 a.m.
That's fine. Yeah, just remind me of it. Looking for Judy is no problem, just let me know, okay? Next is Barbara Giles with Life Walk Central Florida.
I'm not sure if I signed up.
She's here for the resolution.
Oh, you're here for the resolution, okay, all right. It's better to be safe than sorry. Mr. George Fuller is next.
George Fuller, 405 West 3rd Avenue. First thing I want to do is bring to your attention that possibly we're in violation of sunshine laws right now. Here's a copy of the website advertising this meeting. It says Tuesday, 3/8/2022, and then in the first sentence it says the March Town Council meeting will take place on Tuesday, March 3rd, 2022. So I'm sure you're going to tell me that's a mistake, and I want to think that's true. Could be construed as purposeful to make sure nobody comes, but it didn't work. So that's up to you what you want to do about it. But it's a mistake, and when you make a mistake, you come into it and do the right thing, whatever that is. As far as the boathouses go, as you probably know, I've been intimately involved with the whole process. I'm really sort of discouraged and disgruntled about how things have happened, not necessarily the decisions that have been made, but the lack of respect that I have felt sometimes, the changing of attitudes, the changing of purpose. And I've just been very disappointed in the whole process. And it seems like nobody knows quite what they want to do with these things. And one of the first things you learn in Boy Scouts is you're lost. You don't know where you're going. Don't go anywhere. Probably stay right where you are. So that would be my recommendation. You don't know where you're going, just stop and figure it out first, and then start making a movement. But possibly the best thing to do right now would be to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Nancy Connors, 11 Main Street. You want to wait as well for your item?
Yeah.
Judy Black, 405 West Third.
I'd like to wait.
You want to wait until we discuss the item? Okay. Mr. Kurt Fraser? Okay, no, just let me know. We'll go ahead and do one more, that'll give you time to get in. Okay.
You guys are up. He's parking, she's here.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and do a couple more, and then whenever you're ready. So that's Kurt and Rondo Fraser, so they're in a minute. Kurt, pardon that. Kurt,
I'm gonna wait until.
Kurt here. Mr. Bob McKinley.
He's here.
Like to wait until it's comes up.
Ms. Mary Oaks. I got that right.
Yes, I'd like to wait until.
Okay. 33 Oakdale, we'll wait. Okay. Ms. Denise Struby.
Yes, I'd like to wait outside.
Robin Lopez.
Another waiter.
Can't give these spots away. Ms. Angela Withers. Very go getter, Amy.
Angela Withers, 712 Main Street. I was thinking about the boathouses, and I realized we're all doing this, and I did speak a couple of months ago. I've since tried to learn as much as I can, because I do believe, and I think you all know that I'm going to jump into things, I like to think it all through. And I'd just like to make the following comments. I admit originally buying into the idea that the town should take control of boathouses. However, after reading all the arguments coming from both sides of the issue, I really feel that the best thing is to honor the traditional ownership of the boathouses, with the town receiving an annual fee to cover the lease of the access to and requiring certain levels of maintenance. Currently, there seems to be no recognition given to the quitclaim deeds held by current owners. For those who argue that allowing boathouses to be controlled by just these 6 people is not fair, I would ask why. You really wanted a boathouse. You could have bought a house on the lake like other people, which we couldn't afford either. Properly maintained, the boathouses represent a charming part of the old Florida feel that makes Windermere unique and sought after. All the solutions being proposed create a lot of work and expense for the town. There are plenty of other spaces for launch paddleboards and kayaks. Leaving the status quo does not hurt anyone. And as Mike Stevens says, just leave some of this alone. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Mr. Dale Walker.
I'll wait.
I butchered this, and I'm going to apologize if I'm here. So let's see.
He's here for variance as well.
Let her do it, maybe we can figure out something else.
There, we do have those two.
Yeah, we've got Fraser's and I have, next up is Food Variance by no close and no correction. I'm not. Oh, wait.
Yeah,
You're gonna wait, okay, did you pronounce it right? Food Variance. Okay, thank you. And Mr. Fraser, you want to go now or?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kurt Fraser, live at 415 West Third Avenue. My neighbor, Doug Kegler, asked me to read this letter to you. My name is Doug Kegler, and my family reside at 316 Palm Street, and our property is immediately next to the boathouse. First, we want to reiterate that we strongly feel that the boathouses should remain with the current residents, Kurt Fraser, Russell Gentry, George Bolger, and finale Joyce Rose, Doug Fay, Jerry Fay. Purchase, pay taxes, and insurance, and maintain the boathouses. We have not heard any solid reason why the town wants to take them, except that they want to. And for all of us, that is not good enough reason. I also heard the town is thinking of taking the boathouses over just to put a fence up and add cameras. That doesn't make logical sense. Second, we do not want our tax dollars going towards remodeling and maintenance on the boathouses. There are more important items across town for the money to be spent. We also don't need another public park, as the town is having trouble controlling the problems with the two other public parks. Third, we keep hearing that there are so many residents that want a chance to have a boathouse, but we have only heard 4 people say they want one. The town should show concrete data on who is interested in paying monthly for a historic boathouse that is 3 walls and a roof. We also don't want the town to become a landlord and have to monitor, control, and maintain the boathouses. Lastly, the lagoon where the boathouses are located has always been fairly quiet. Windermere residents enjoy a number of wildlife such as fish, frogs, blue herons, ibis, egrets, spoonbill, wood ducks, and frequently
Sir. I also have Rhonda Fraser on here. Rhonda, do you want to speak?
I'm back on post.
Pictures before I left. This is a typical playground yesterday. It shows a helpless playground. My name is Diane Fraser, and I live at 415 West Street, which is Homer Park directly outside our front door. I strongly maintain this being a boathouse situation. Boathouse number one has been a part. It was in need of some restoration. We took over possession from the Palmerville family a year and a half ago. My husband and son spent several months and over $10,000 restoring it. Being careful to maintain its original form. We have always believed that we own the boathouses, the state owns the water under the boathouse, and the city owns a small strip of land that connects it to the road. We pay taxes and insurance on our boathouse, and it appears that we pay the city rent for the little strip of land, which I'm unsure why, since it's public property. I've heard many suggestions from the committees, and each one, I think, has its problems. First of all, if you tear them down, there's such a part rating a whole house, and this will become a direct access to the Bird Island partiers. The traffic by residents and their families walking their dogs and enjoying the park. It is also going to become a huge safety issue for the children playing in Palmer Park, intoxicated partiers that will be on the city. To store them, it will cost the taxpayers over $100,000, plus the cost of camp just to rent them out to 5 new people. Aren't the norm to spend the city's taxpayers' money on? And I'm sure this is why this has gotten so being so disrespectful to the families of some that have only generations. To save the taxpayers' money and future disputes with adjacent, it's the only answer that makes any sense. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have special presentation proclamation.
Mayor,
Sorry, you had one to read into the record.
yeah, it's from Russell Gentry, 409 West 2nd Avenue. And we do want to make sure that everybody speaks into the microphone. We do have a court reporter here, as well as we're trying to tape on wireless Windermere, which seems to be going up and down. So not intentional, it's the wireless issues that we had in Town Hall. This is from Russell Gentry, 409 West 2nd Avenue. It was an email sent to Dorothy Burkholter, Tuesday, March 8th, 2022, at 3:40 p.m. Mayor and Council on December 9th, 2021, Brad Cornelius sent emails to Robert Smith in regards to a question posed about the Pine Street Lagoon. It was raised by a resident after discovery of a survey indicated that boathouse number 5 encroached upon the property of another town resident. Brad Cornelius indicated at the time that a survey of the ownership would be needed. The information did in fact come from a legal survey that was used to issue building permits for the resident's home. They clearly show ownership of much of the lagoon and encroachment. I'm curious if council members voting on these matters have personally researched the encroachment to have a factual and firsthand understanding outside of the benefit of a staff memo. On a related note, would any council members be willing to address why they did not recognize the wishes of 62 residents when asked a simple question supporting continued private ownership of the boathouses? Finally, I would ask the mayor and current council members voting on matters regarding the boathouses pledge to not enter into the lottery or benefit from a lottery for a period of 10 years after leaving office. Thank you.
Next up, item 2, again, special presentation proclamations and reports.
Afternoon, Mayor, Council, to our staff, and also to the residents of Windermere. So tonight, we get an opportunity to recognize and give some awards to our police officers for the 2021 efforts that they made. And I'm going to call a few of them up. So we're Reserve Officer C.J. Burrell, come up. recognizing our reserve officers, but also she did well as being awarded the Officer of the Year. Many of you may not know, but as a small police department, we actually rely on the reserve police officers. They work for free for the town of Windermere. We have several reserve police officers. They save the town about $55,000 a year because of the service that they do. We are a whole staff in our police department, which is great. It's 14 full-time. We can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That actually is pretty burdensome on our staff. CJ actually dedicated over 570 hours of time to the town of Windermere and Windermere Police Department last year. So CJ, in recognition of your dedication and professionalism to the town of Windermere and Windermere Police Department Reserve Program. Throughout 2021, we dedicated 570 hours to the Reserve Program. We continually stepped up to fill in for full-time officers where there was a need for additional manpower or patrol. You did not hesitate to assist with special details, fundraisers, administrative projects, and preparing for the move to the new facility. Your commitment to the town of Windermere is commendable and has earned you this prestigious award recognized today, March 2022. Congratulations, TJ. TJ's family, if you want to come up, take some pictures with her and the mayor. Keep coming down. Go ahead. It's okay, stop. Yeah, make sure. That's right.
It's only half my family, guys.
No, we're not in.
You want to stand next to me? Stud puppet. Yeah.
Thank you.
TJ, congratulations. All right, next up, Officer Griffin Heagle. Officer. Griffin's back. I guess he almost didn't make it tonight. It was an accident, unfortunately, on as he said, stop the system. So Officer Heagle is being recognized and given this Chief Special Award tonight. Throughout 2021, you led the Windermere Police Department in traffic-related enforcement. You worked tirelessly throughout the year ensuring that the residents and travelers that go through this town are feeling safe. Of the 40 arrests that you made last year, 23 were related to drunk driving during the year. Despite the many challenges faced by law enforcement, you were fair, you sound judgment that have been praised from members by many members of this community. For this reasons and more, we have earned this prestigious award, Chief Special Award, presented to you on this day. Congratulations. Executive Assistant Diane Edwards, come on up. Diane is the Chief Special Award this year. Throughout 2021, and ever since you've been there, actually, you went above and beyond your daily duties and responsibilities as the Executive Assistant to the Town of Windermere, Manager Robert Smith. My assistant in the Windermere Police Department in various meetings, events, schedulings, and build-outs in the new facility. You contributed countless hours to ensure deadlines were met, projects were run smooth. Your willingness to assist in carrying these tasks in the most personal and professional ways are the most appreciated and not been well noticed by the Windermere Police Department. For these reasons and many more, you're being given the Chief Special Award tonight. Congratulations and thank you. If I could have the reserve unit all come up here.
President's Award.
Sorry. Well, it's gonna be both. We're gonna do both here. So we're so fortunate to have this reserve unit here, in the Windermere Police Department and Captain Jones as well. These folks volunteer their time in their services. Many of them have full-time jobs. Some of them are like lieutenant defendant, retired from the police force. Just couldn't have enough, so we continue to volunteer his time. Some to help assist. We have CJ, who just got the Officer of the Year award, is a retired fire chief. We're in the garden for a little while. We have a current lieutenant there, one of the guys is a supervisor, social security officer. We have a lot of talent that comes and volunteers their time to this town, which is just amazing. So each year we recognize them for the service that you do, and I'm going to read this in a bit. But the amount of time and hours that they volunteer is just amazing. So we're recognizing them for the Special Unit Award, but in addition to that, there's a Presidential Volunteer Award that we put them in each and every year. The Presidential Volunteer Award goes in gold, silver, and bronze. So if you dedicate over 500 hours, you get a gold. We have 2 members receiving the gold award, John Collick, Sergeant Collick, and CJ Burrell. We have 3 people receiving the silver award, Lieutenant Marcus Stefano, Officer Brian Miller, and Officer Jeff Papagialupi. And then we have 3 people receiving the bronze award. Lori Sudnick is not here today. Patrick Cusack is here, and Chaplain Amy Jones. And for many of you that don't know, the chaplaincy program is here to support our police officers and also our residents. I personally lost Chaplain Jones on many difficult situations that people may not think that we have to do regularly. We have death notifications. Very difficult, sensitive situations. So Chaplain Jones is a great resource for us to call in, and he has that what I kind of call administrative presence about him. And you can just sit down and talk to people and work them through any difficult positions. You had one just a few weeks ago that you did a fantastic job. So the unit citation presented to the Windermere Police Department Reserve Unit for their outstanding demonstration of teamwork and dedication to Town of Windermere. Throughout 2021, the Reserve Unit assisted with various community events, special details, and training. And the officers continue to support the Uniform Patrol Division with Vanguard. Altogether, the Reserve Unit volunteered a total of 2,506 hours. Cost savings of $51,047. Your commitment and diligence to duty, as well as the safety of the town residents, are commendable and have earned you this award. Congratulations, you guys are very blessed in my life.
Presidential award comes with a pin that they get to wear. And a note and a sign. You guys, say, let's get a group photo and then we'll get a photo if you want with your name. I did, sorry.
He's jealous. He wants to be up front.
All right, Mayor, thank you again for that opportunity to serve the public here and serve our officers who do a great job. Thank you, congratulations again to all of our officers and our civilians, Diane. Awesome job. It's a pleasure and an honor to do work with you guys each and every day.
Thank you, Chief. All of our officers are proud of the entire department. We thank their family for them giving them time to serve us. One of the things I always love is that all the officers come support all of this. Thank you.
I'll go to dinner together.
And now the city opens up.
Also, there's a seat, yeah, anybody wants to grab us.
Mayor, we can go in order. We do have the 3 guests running for office.
Yeah.
And then when you want to go to the audit, or if you can just want to go down one.
I'll move those individuals straight in front of the audit. Exciting as our audit is. Individuals taking a shot when Congress come up. Florida Senate Congressional District candidate Jeff Boone. So come to the voting. Introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good evening. Most likely to begin by saying Happy International Women's Day. This is also Women's Month as well. My name is Jeff Boone. I'm a candidate for the 10th Congressional District. I'm also a resident of Hunters Creek. I've been there, my wife and I, for over 21 years living in Hunters Creek. Just to give you a little background. Prior to moving to Florida in 2000, I worked as a banker on Wall Street. Beginning my career at the Federal Reserve, worked at Chase Manhattan Bank, American Express. Know very well money in banking, finance, economics, and also the importance of balancing budgets. We'll talk about that as we talk about things that I define. So important to know the importance of balancing as well too. And then while I moved down here, I continued to work as a financial executive, a treasurer for Chef USA pellet manufacturer in South Orlando, and also worked with Space Coast for a defense contractor, House Corporation, and Treasury and Finance, University of Miami, as well as Daycare Health. So understanding the importance of finance and the importance of business and public sector working together, that's part of my platform running for office. So I've served in the Community Planning Board for Manhattan as a mayoral appointee for New York City Mayor David Jenkins, the first African-American mayor, and also was a 3-time first African-American student government president. Colgate University, Carver High School in the Bronx, New York, as well as my middle school, St. James Catholic Middle School. So I grew up in New York City, and I understand the importance of education, employment, hard work, dedication, sacrifice, pride, all those things that make you successful. Things that we need to be able to export to our communities as well as the youth in our community, and understanding the trust process of life. Be able to have our education and employment system recruit kids the same way or better than gangbangers recruit kids to crime. Letting them know that you can trust the process and things you want in life, you can have, you can earn, you don't have to look over your shoulder. I've also served the community of Hunters Creek as a community coach for the last 2 decades, 2 tours of duty with 2 sons from 7 to 17 years old. Have an opportunity to engage with youth in educational, recreational, as well as sports activities. Named Coach of the Year, Volunteer Coach of the Year, back-to-back seasons. In football, I also coached basketball at AU State Championships around the way. So while working 9 to 6 and then come home coaching from 6 to 9, that's a full day right there. But it also gave me a chance to understand a lot of things in the community as far as volunteerism, things that really help pull the community together, which makes our communities very similar to Town of Windermere. And the same message that I gave to Hunters Creek in terms of people checking their political affiliation at the door when you come to the meetings, because the only party that matters is the community party in terms of bringing the circles together, Democrats and Republicans, where you entwine is where you want things for your community. And some of those things can unite people, like trains coming through your backyard or golf courses being turned to apartments and some issues or maybe some lighter ones, like how many trees are gonna be out there. Or I'm saying you've got an important issue tonight, because it's stuff with the vote issues, I won't take too much time. But as a congressional representative, the congressperson is like the mayor of a congressional area, concerned about things that really are at the city, state, and federal level. Concerned about sanitation, transportation, police, fire, making sure that our schools are safe, important for funding for education, some things. I'm a moderate Democrat. So there's some things I might be a little bit more liberal on, like considerations for community college, as we've given kids 12 years of public school. We're going to find a way to balance the budget we could to give them 2 more years of public school. A lot of kids don't get away to go away to college and afford their own board. If I didn't go to Colgate and a football scholarship, I didn't go to school, city college, my wife's a 12th child. Wasn't much left. So I just go get a job. But sometimes kids may stay home and work and go to school as well too. But funding for education, teacher salaries, child care, early childhood education, tutoring and recreational programs for students though. Also funding for job training. As millennials, as well as returning workers that go back to work, have to diversify their skills in different industries other than the traditional hospitality, tourism, to some of the fast-growing tech, healthcare, IT, manufacturing, defense industries that are growing here in Central Florida, and being able to diversify and move those skills there. It's still also hospitality and tourism. And then also, as it relates to my background experience, being able to utilize that to leverage to work with the public and private sector for tax benefits for companies to create jobs in impoverished areas, urban and rural, as well as tax benefits for economic development, real estate, public housing, and then also tax benefits for research expenses. And we have this out here in the state of Florida, research expenses for job creators in certain industries, IT, manufacturing, defense, aerospace, marine biology. And so it's important that we maintain our prosperity, keep our economy open. And also one of the other things that's important besides just affordable housing, which is really a problem for not just adults, but also millennials graduating, income sensitive housing, where you can find it in the city as well as places and so forth. And our home ownership lags the national average, about 65%, but we're not congressional district about 58% there. So finding ways to help young families, middle class income families to be able to purchase homes, to be able to live the American dream, to be able to afford affordable housing, affordable rent for apartments, giving even tax benefits to renters for income sensitive housing as well. And the last thing I was going to say, but some of the audience has left, but it's on my card, so that's what I'm buying the sky, is also increased funding to improve police community relations. I was going to say that about favorites in the back of the room, but I actually do believe because I grew up in New York City, my father, a coach and referee, uncle in law enforcement, and started a police athletic league for Harlem. We kept a lot of kids off the streets. We kept a lot of kids out of trouble. We were, and this was during the 70s. I'm trying to date myself with some of my age, but at that time period, Harlem was second in the nation in murder. More black men died in 1 year in the 1970s on the streets of Harlem in the 35th precinct than all the black men died in 1964 to 1974 in Vietnam. The entire time. It was an Essence magazine written about, first magazine written on black crime. But despite that type of tension, police, the community leaders still found ways to work together. So it is improving police relations, find ways to get funding for, even if it's overtime for police members to get to know the community, captain knows the community leaders, the organizations, training, diversity training, straight out of the academy as well too, pairing. You got to put a pickle over stairs, whatever it takes to get people to know each other. And if people might know what pickle over stairs are, but it's really just a pairing of different groups that may not have had the opportunity to come in contact with each other based upon their prior life experiences. And that way we can make sure we have positive interactions with the community. We want more police on the street. We want safe streets from Hunter's Creek all the way to Poplar through Condos and Paramore. How you get economic development if you can't make the area safe first? So I know that from what I've seen in Harlem, that the tax benefits, economic development, the safe streets, and the safe community. We want to make sure that the cop on the block knows the kids on the block, that they're all coming home safely from school. And that's where I think we need to make the improvements, to move from the protests to the roundtable, to the discussion, to better relations. So, the last thing I want to say in closing is this Windermere, very similar to Hunts Creek, that is these communities are like our Mayberry, is where our kids grow up, they ride their bicycles to school, is where retirees and empty nesters like my wife and I, and sure people here, we walk the community, we exercise, we want to be safe, we want to make sure that our property values are protected, we want to make sure that whatever decisions are being made or come together in a democratic process as well too. And so those are the things that I will do as congressional representative of this district, even matters that are federal, that are not at the federal level, but at state or local, that involve you all, will utilize what a mayor of a congressional district should do. Political influence, muscle, to make sure that what the community wants, the community gets. So I want to thank you all for your time. My website is Jeff Boone, JEFFBOOAD, like David Boone, JeffBooneForCongress.com. And I certainly, we love volunteers. But we thank you for your time and certainly consider our campaign and consider supporting our campaign as well. Thank you.
Good evening, thank you for having me. I will be brief as well, maybe a little briefer. I'm originally from Connecticut. I moved here 43 years ago into the Dr. Phillips area, which was mostly all orange roads as far as you can see. And I got involved with the community a little over 30 years ago, everything from coalition to the homeless to soup kitchens out in OBT. It's all about helping other people. We're here to uplift one another, not tear one another down. Rather than go into a lot of detail about myself, my website, weedforcongress.com, you can't forget weed, very easy, WEED. And I will just share this one little story. About 14, 15 years ago, I was working with the combat wounded veterans. And I was invited to DC to a gala they were having. And I went around talking to various people from both sides of the aisle, Steny Hoyer, John Boehner, and everybody telling me about all the red tape you had to deal with, how difficult it was going to be to help these people, the things we wanted to do. And then I spoke with the chairman chief staff, and what he said to me was, being a military man, so what do you need from me? What can I do to help you? My office door is open, and whatever I can do, you got it. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I saw a tear roll down his cheek when we were talking about what we're going to do to help the combat wounded veterans. And that's what I want to really push, is that hand in hand, pull each other from both sides of the aisle together, and let's get something accomplished. It's what you do as opposed to what you talk about that really matters. And with the experience that I have in business, again, go to my website, see a bunch of good stuff there. That's what I want to do with Congress and make some stuff happen. Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me.
And City House District 44 candidate, did you get it?
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman, and staff, and residents of Windermere. My name is Jeanette Corolla, and I am the candidate running in the new House District 45, since the change has been approved finally by the Supreme Court. Just a little bit about myself. I am the daughter of Cuban immigrants who came to this country legally in 1967 and pursued the American dream. The only one of my four siblings born in the United States. I am the proud product of the Cuban American dream. I was born, raised, and worked in Miami, Florida my entire life until 6 years ago. My family and I relocated after my husband and I retired from law enforcement. I am a graduate of the Florida International University, and I am actually a true Floridian. In 1993, I became part of the 11% of law enforcement women in this country just at the age of 20. Hispanic, female, state trooper was unheard of in that profession, and especially in the Hispanic culture. So I was breaking glass ceilings at an early age. After serving 5 years with the Highway Patrol, I went to work for the city of Coral Gables, and I rose to the ranks where I retired as a lieutenant. I was in law enforcement, yes, in Miami-Dade County on I-85 as a trooper, and of all places for 22 years in Coral Gables as well. Until one day while performing my job, I was injured, and later, unfortunately, retired disabled. I spent the last 7 years recovering from injuries from an in-line duty service-related injury. I've been married for 25 years to an amazing man, supporting man, who I had the honor to as well, not only be his wife, but we worked alongside of him as a law enforcement officer. So combined, he and I have 50 years of law enforcement experience together. We have 2 amazing boys, well, really men at this point. One is 20, and he goes to school full-time at Valencia. He graduated from Windermere High in 2020. My other son is 24, and he is a graduate from FSU, and he is a legislator for Central Florida Republican representative. My campaign message, basically, new beginnings. Today I say, once again, it's a new beginning for me, it's a new beginning for all, and it's a new beginning for a new district. With many years of law enforcement and a myriad of experience, I believe that I'm ready to lead the new House seat. Also, I have life experience, is what I'm bringing. I'm bringing life experience to the Capitol. I'm bringing all of my years, all of my knocking on the doors in the middle of the night and doing notification next of kin to the best giving homeless shelter children gifts for the holidays. You name it, I've pretty much done it in law enforcement. I supervise the community affairs division. I work directly for the chief. I was a nationally recognized public information officer. There's only about 600 in the nation. So I can pretty much go to any catastrophe at any time and get on the mic and speak about whatever it is that's going on. I also ran our emergency operations center for several years. So like I said, I'm bringing a lot of community experience to the table. I equate what's happening in West Orange right now and what was happening in South Florida when I was growing up. I watched strawberry fields grow into what today is West Kendall. And today I'm watching orange groves grow into what is West Orange and Horizons West. I think it's important that we take the opportunity and know the things that need our priority. Obviously, the first and foremost, public safety. The next thing that we need priority is infrastructure. We need to be able to commute around this town. And so I see that happening. Fortunately for us, a lot of these cities and a lot of the county and a lot of these big entities have helped out in the growth. But we weren't expecting what happened 2 years ago. And so our growth has doubled in what we would have normally expected the growth to have been. Together, we can bring new ideas, new common grounds to Central Florida and to all Floridians. As all eyes are on Florida, which they are daily, and our governor, and our state and local officials, now more than ever, we need to work together, especially during this midterm election. We need to spearhead and set the tone and the direction for the rest, because the rest of the country is looking at us. It starts here. I hope that you will support our new beginnings in this new District 45. The new outlook, new direction, new district, new candidate, and new House seat. In sum, I want to thank everyone that's come out here today, and may God bless you and drive safely home.
appreciate all the candidates coming to see us and all the best of luck. Next up is our FY 2020-2021 audit presentation.
Good evening. My name is Sandy Campbell. I'm the audit partner with McDermott Davis, here to present the results of the 2021 annual audit. The town received an unmodified audit opinion, which is the best type of opinion that you can receive. Fund balance for the general fund decreased 3.6 million. However, this is due to spending the prior year no proceeds on the town admin instruction. At the end of the year, general fund unassigned fund balance was 1.9 million, and that's the amount the town can spend at their own discretion. There aren't any limits on that. And that represents 19% of general fund expenditures. So that's within your kind of best practices range of 12 to 25%, showing the town has healthy reserves. The town was in compliance with the laws and regulations tested as part of the audit. We did have one management comment, however, it's very common for governments of smaller sizes relating to internal control of the preparation of financial statements. And generally, it's just not practical for small towns to hire a CPA finance director. It's just a comment that small governments expect to know that you're going to have some audit adjustments, and the auditor might be a little more involved in making suggestions and recommendations than the higher level, more complex people that has that higher level CPA finance director. We did not have any concerns over internal controls. So everything we looked at was good. We just had that one comment. The supplemental letter provided includes some audit adjustments we found, and that's kind of the basis for that management comment, that we did find some audit adjustments. And most of these just relate to transactions that were processed in October that really relate back to September expenses, so they have to go back in the 2021 year. And if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to address them now.
Any additional concerns or anything that you could?
No, we did not.
Council? So much appreciated. You were faster than the politicians.
I do want to thank Nora White, who's not here tonight, for all of her assistance and help. She's under a real time crunch, not only with doing the audit, but we were down one person at the time with the departure of Debbie Wilson. So when you see the adjustments, it's something that we typically catch. But again, because of it was just her, we were able to utilize some of McDermott and Davis's experience to do those adjustments prior to the final findings. But I do want to thank Nora White for all of
those. Thank you guys. We appreciate everything and all the staff work as well.
Just real quick, I want to thank Nora also for the guide on how to interpret this information. That was very helpful.
Yeah, and just so you know, the American Recovery Act dollars does not count towards your reserves. That's a separate item, money in, money out. So that is still $1.3 million that we can utilize for projects. And yeah, we need to do a separate single audit for that when the time is ready.
Thank you, Robert. All right, councilperson staff, one last go here on old business. Our consent items tonight. This is itemized 11 Main Street, 621-10. Ashley Walker, variance to allow setback from the normal high water line for a swimming pool. This item, DRB recommended denial 5-1. We tabled this item, if you'll recall, from our February 8th meeting. The applicant is here to speak. I think we're going to have Brad start. Is that true, sir?
If you'd like me to, I could, yes, sir.
Why don't you go ahead, and because there are some changes.
Yes, sir. We have break up today what happened since she also tabled this request. Again, my name is Brad Cornelius, serving as your town planner. As the mayor said, the case you have for you tonight is for 11 Main Street. Ms. Walker is the owner. And what her request for her variance that you have before you, it's being changed, but the initial request was to allow the pool deck to be at 22 feet and the body of her pool to be 26 feet from the normal high water now. And as you all recall, your town code does require a 50-foot setback for swimming pools and their decks from the normal high water. So I will step back quickly. I know Ms. Burkhalter did send to the council a revised plan, and Ms. Walker did provide, that pushed the pool back, further back. I believe it's about at 37 feet is what the revised plan does show. She also shrunk the footprint of the pool site as well. So she did submit a revised plan, which I believe she will present to you this evening. In terms of what activities happened since she tabled it, as you all recall, what you asked to happen was that the town's lakes consultant, consulting, take a look at the Foot Variance to provide an opinion about that. And so we did meet with that. We did provide that information to her. And this, Moore and I will provide information to her, and her letter is part of your packet tonight. So we did receive a letter from her. She did look at it, and just very briefly, what her letter says in the packet is basically she does believe the town should maintain the 50-foot setback from the lakes for swimming pools. So she does, she did make that recommendation. But then her letter is part of your packet. The other question that came up for the table was related to seawalls and how that might mitigate for a reduction in that. Your lakes consultant was not comfortable answering that question because she saw that as an engineering question. She's a biologist. So I did go to my engineer, Mike Reinica, who was an engineer. And again, I have a memo that explains, but basically what Mike's opinion is about that is the seawalls as they're constructed and the swales that we require here in town for those, they're not designed for protection necessarily. Because seawalls basically are put at grade, caps at grade, those swales on the backside are just to avoid just the runoff point over top. They're not designed to a certain capacity or standard. So, you know, as the seawalls are generally permitted here in the town and as they're permitted to Orange County environmental protection, they don't really provide any additional protection, is the way that it happened. When we look at potential concerns about pool failures or things like that. So that was the issue with the seawalls. The other issue or item that came up was your town attorney provided a recommendation to Mr. Smith and I about if the town council does approve the variance for a reduction in that setback from 50 to something less. She did recommend that Ms. Reynolds, she can expand on it. That the town council also put a condition on that approval saying that the property owner would enter into a hold harmless agreement with the town that would protect the town in case something would happen that would cause damage. And that would be something that would be worked out with the town attorney, put that together. So that is a recommendation if you were to approve a reduction in that setback. That's my update that I have for you this evening. Just to reiterate again, when you review a variance, it's based on the specifics of a property and conditions of that property, not what's happened elsewhere on other properties for that property specifically. And you also have your standards for a variance within your code. And when you approve a variance, you need to be able to show or make the finding that that variance meets each of those standards. You have to meet each, not just one or two, but you have to meet each of those standards. So with that, that's my short presentation. If you have any questions for me at this point, I'm happy to answer them. But Ms. Walker is here.
Sir, council, any questions for Brad? Councilman Percy.
Thank you, Brad. Our lakes consultant mentioned the Orange County Environmental Protection Division, NPDES permit. Would we violate that or be in violation of that if we issued a permit that did not meet the required setbacks?
My understanding of that is no. Your NPDES setback is not related to a specific setback standard. It's related to the management and mitigation to ensure that there aren't impacts from what those setbacks are. So when we talk about the silt fencing, when we do the construction and ensuring that we don't have illicit discharges from that. But I will say it does help in that compliance by having that setback.
Current revised plan, which still does not meet the 50-foot setback, not available until Friday, correct?
Correct. It was submitted to Ms. Burkhalter on Friday afternoon.
Council, any further comments or concerns? Can I cut you off quick? I'm sorry.
I guess this is for, a whole harmless agreement may be transferable if the property is sold. The new owner have to.
You can make that right with the land, but the whole harmless agreement protects the town from damages to property, not to lakes or anything else like that. So if the pool is too close to the lake and the pool pops up because of the groundwater, then that protects the town. So if the property owner says, hey, you guys approved the variance, now I'm going to sue you because now I have I don't have a pool anymore. That's what the whole harmless agreement does. But it does run on land.
Councilor Amos. Other comments or concerns from council? We will have the applicant. But she's way at the top there, actually. Okay.
All right, thank you. Again, thank you guys for your time today. I'll try to keep this brief as it seems like the vote counts issue is a little more pressing and important. So just to reiterate the changes, I understand that I'm asking for a lot, and I appreciate everyone's time and consideration and the research that's gone into this. I also want you guys to understand that you guys are making a life-changing decision for us. Whether you may feel that way or not, it's basically in the consideration if we can or can't do this, are we going to decide to stay? Part of our decision to make the proposed changes is because we want to protect the lakes as well. As I mentioned last time, I've lived in the town of Windermere more than half of my life, grew up on the lakes, so it is just as important to me as it is to the rest of the folks that live here. So part of the changes that were made, basically where we came up with those numbers is the 13-foot variance now instead of the 26-foot, which Brad had mentioned is essentially shifting the pool from the center of the property roughly over to the left side of the property. That and then moving it back towards the house a little bit. That 13 feet is based off of a suggestion that an engineer said as far as not wanting to dig any closer to the house to build a pool. He felt that 10 feet was a comfortable distance to be able to dig a hole big enough to hold a pool, essentially, without worrying or the concern of undermining of the house. This is a 1955 house on a crawl space. So that's where that distance came from. Also, in a discussion with Brad over the past couple months, like I said, hypothetically, if I could afford to tear this house down and rebuild it, would I ever really fall within the 50-foot setback? And the answer is, I can only move my house 10 feet closer to the road because there is that setback as well. So because my house was built in 1955, prior to the 50-foot rule being put in place in 1991, there was really never any chance after that rule was put in place for me to ever be conforming to the 50-foot setback. Also, to get closer to the house, to try to get further distance between the pool and the canal, we had to reduce the size of the pool. And in fact, we actually reduced it from what we initially wanted the first time before we even came to the RV. We have now reduced it again. So it's a 12 by 24 pool, smaller than we want. Again, some of the discussions that I had is, while we want a pool so much, we don't want to reduce it down to a size where we're paying $50,000 for an oversized spa. At some point, it doesn't make financial sense to do it. The other suggestion or concession that we're making to help mitigate kind of the concerns around the pool being closer to the canal is having an additional stormwater retention area. So the town automatically will require us to put stormwater retention area in, which Brad and I discussed size of that roughly in the calculations. Of course, will be engineered in the plans that is required, but I will also put an additional stormwater retention area for multiple engineering folks, their recommendation. And I'm going to hold 400 square feet of water. And this number kind of came from a 100-year storm. So when you talk about pools failing, They don't just magically explode, as people know, but you worry about when you're storm where you get a time frame and if no one's there to let cool out or drain, it will overflow. So we're proposing an additional area to hold that. And then, of course, as Brad and the town attorney mentioned, hold harmless, we are absolutely willing to sign that if this is something that you guys will allow. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now.
Any questions for Walker?
So to correct verification of the statement. So do you know the code for the distance to the house or a pool other than 6 feet?
For the Florida building code, separation. I do not know that. That is part of the building code, the building official does. I do understand there is a requirement for a 4-foot walkway around the perimeter of the pool, but I'm not sure for the separation between the house.
Council members, if I can have you get closer to the mic too and make sure it's on.
With the 12 by 24 foot pool plus the house, you able to make a calculation for this?
Yes, sir. I did do that, and I will say, I did scale it off of the survey that Ms. Walker provided on Friday. So what I'm providing you is based on my best ability to scale a survey that was copied. But I believe it's close enough to accurate to provide that information. Based on what she submitted on Friday, and with her lot size, it's like we're normal high water, with everything, the total impervious on her site, she's at 31%, which is significantly less than the 45% that would be allowed on the property. So she is at 31% in her impervious area with her proposed swimming pool. I will also say, because she did shift it from what you saw earlier on the side setback there on that north side in 12.6, she's also compliant with that side setback. On that side, she could be at 10 feet. So on that side, she's compliant.
Within all this work, they're based on that 31%. It was a brand new house and they had water retention with that first one. Do you know how many square feet would be required?
I have an estimate, yes, sir, I did run that calculation. And again, this is preliminary, it would have to be engineered, but based on just a quick calculation of what she submitted, based on her current impervious there in the town's code, which your code requirement is to capture the first inch of water. So that's what your code requires. So based on that calculation, it comes out to approximately 650.5 cubic feet of storage for the property. That accounts for all the impervious, the house, the driveway, the pool, that's everything.
Separated pool.
If I have a separated pool, I did on that one as well. It goes down to 455 cubic feet. It's just a pool in the back. And that's at the 1 inch capture.
Any further questions, Council? I believe also there is one other individual who decided to speak on this item, Nancy Connors.
My name is Nancy Connors. I live at 6 Oakdale Street. My property, I am directly across the canal from this Walker. I have looked at that property for 20 years. I have a swimming pool that I'm sure is not within the confines of these. I think that pool's probably been there for 40 years. Never in the 20 years that I've been there, with all the hurricanes and the flooding, and the things that we've had, I never had any problems or known of any problems on the canal where pools have flooded or in any way impacted the canal. And I just feel like I'm speaking on their behalf, that I think homes that are built along that canal, I think that some of them were built in the 50s, so penalize somebody because they bought a property that was old. Going up there, there's so many, everybody almost on that, has, I think it'll be fair to the land as well. And in a different to thank the council and the city. I'm part of the group of I cheer to come here every Wednesday at noon, and you all have allowed us to do our exercise program even at noon. We appreciate it. We appreciate the town allowing us to do that. It's been enhanced.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. All right, council, so
There were others that said once.
on this item. Okay. Council, start. Why don't you try to come up and go ahead and give us your comment then. You'll just give us your address as well.
Absolutely. My name is Mary Oaks, and I have lived at 33 Oakdale Street since 1983. Now, I agree with Nancy 100%. In the 38 years that I've been there, through all the hurricanes and such, I do not know of an instance where the pool failure, caused a problem. And it actually answered one of my questions. I know of at least 3 or 4 pools that cannot be 50 feet back. So I guess 1991 is when that 50-foot setback came into being. But I was not aware that one needed to reply positively to a variance. I thought that no response equaled approval. So I am definitely in favor of allowing the reduced setback. And I think Ashley, I've known her since she was a child. And we all love these lakes, and I know she's got that best interest of these lakes at heart. But we need to allow the residents that are willing to invest in the properties on the east side of Main Street the opportunity to enjoy the accompanying lifestyle. There are other things, in my opinion, that are affecting our lakes, namely the outrageous overcrowding and lack of respect of the visitors to our waterways, i.e. Rhode Island. Waste from personal watercraft and definitely contribute to water quality degradation. Boat fuel and the traffic just contributes to an increase of algae and sediment. Anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you and speak in favor of this property.
Thank you very much. So you're going to speak on this item as well? She's okay.
My name is Denise Struby. I live at 5 Oakdale Street. I have lived in Windermere since 1965. I don't want to get my age, but that's been 57 years. I've grown up in this town, has changed a lot. And I agree with all the rest of my neighbors that we have been through enormous hurricanes, especially Charlie, Francis, and Jean. Those were pretty intense. I have lived across the canal from Ashley, sort of, at 20 Oakdale Street. And in 1990, I built my first pool there. Johnny Love was mayor. And we had to put swells. And that pool is still in existence. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's just fine. Now we're at 5 Oakdale Street, and we have the pool in that house. I am 50 feet away from the lake, but not 50 feet away from the canal. And once again, through all the hurricanes, through all the heavy rain last night, never has a pool caused any problems. If you look at Ashley's property, the elevation, I believe, of the property is more important than the distance, because the canal is going to impact her pool before the pool is going to impact the lake. And so I would like you to vote in favor of the variance, because once again, I grew up in one of the oldest houses, the first house on Oakdale Street at 20, and the size of the lots are the size of the lots. And there's nothing that she can do about it, and except to increase the value of her home and property. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else that wants to speak on this Grace's rate.
My name is Gail Walker and I live on 212 East First Avenue. And the reason that I'm here is if you all are so concerned with our lakes and our waterways, I would like to propose to this council that they review the pictures that I have here. In front of my home is a pond. And that pond actually dumps into a canal, which dumps into Lake Down. We had a wonderful rain last night, and you should see the pond and all the sediment and all the dirt in that. So if you're really concerned about our waterways, there are more things that you need to worry about than the pool. So I'm going to leave these pictures with you, and I'm going to tell you that I'm not as concerned about a pool failing as I am of our land and our waterways. There are so many things that are going into our waterways, including my yard, which I fertilize, going into those waterways. So I'd like for you to consider this pool. I'm going to leave these pictures with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Filtering pond. Thank you too for your. All right, council, in front of you have the agenda item that was tabled from our February 8th meeting.
I think as we've done with other variances in the past, it's such a big opportunity. Especially up to par with such that I think we're forward with that. There's a reason why house 2 square feet, what needs to be, what type of space concrete probably should.
Councilperson Savage.
Just one comment on the seawall. I think in this instance, the seawall is actually more functional than a dam would be. What that seawall provides is it's four feet above high water mark, 4 feet below. Any standing water in that or retained water in that yard has to propagate down to that bottom of that seawall and back up. So there's a larger, longer path of filtration than any of the other houses along that roadway. So in my opinion, coupled with the fact that Ms. Walker is planning on including retention for 100-year storm, I believe, and the fact that that pool is only 4 feet in depth, which doesn't even reach the bottom of the high water mark, I think it's a viable option. Engineering wise, I think it's been well looked at. She's had several experts go over there and give her the best options of placement, and I think she's hit the mark on that.
Any additional comments?
I sympathize with all the comments that were made here about the older homes and newer regulations. I think it does penalize the homeowners in some respects. However, I'm hesitant to go against the DRB decision, our land consultant, and our ordinance, which requires 50 feet. We're asking for more than 25% reduction in setback. If we were to go back to the DRB and have it re-review this, new information, I would be more flexible on this particular request. I would be more flexible if the setback request was 5 or 6 feet, something smaller percentage overall. But at this point, I think it's too large of a variance request. And I know there's plenty of room there for water retention. I walked the site. There's a ton of space back there for water retention. It's got a seawall, which is definitely preferable to sloping surface. ordinance, send it back to the DRB, let them have another look at it, see what they say. So we can have those, process.
Would be the process of if we're at DRB, would she have to file another variance? Or can it just be as is, just go back for the.
I wouldn't want them to have to pay again.
Yeah, they could just.
Right.
Well, let's clarify. I mean, part of the issue is that. We've had several houses that. Deny these types of variances. Some people. And we lay out their house for the same thing, so. You get concerned about consistency. Get another one.
With all due respect,
Excuse me one second, Brad.
Oh, no, sir, I'm just here in case any questions from.
Oh, I thought we were just clarifying on the, so if they go back.
Oh, for that, yes, sir.
If you knew.
No, it would not be a variance, sir. You could remand it back to the DRB to review the revised case. We would renotice it though, because it has been tabled, the request has changed, so we would renotice. So we have time to renotice to get it on the market. And on the May DRB meeting, we can notice for the May DRB. There would not be any new variance, would not be any case if we remand it back and renotice with the new information.
with all due respect, what would be the purpose of sending it back to the DRB, one, and two, is there an engineer or somebody else who's qualified on the DRB who might be able to add more light to this situation than we already have? And then number two, going off of what you just said, you don't want to be the full police, but you want to be fair and you want to go based off of kind of other decisions where you sent other pools saying that they need to be reduced. I think what Brad talked about at the last meeting is that we can't use other properties and compare it to this. And so when I tried to bring up other properties to compare to this, which are my neighbors that have pools, I was told this is a case-by-case basis, and I hope you guys look at those previous no's or yeses from a case-by-case basis as well. I think one of the homes that you're referring to where they had reduced by 3 feet was built after 1991. So I think it's a little bit different situation. And I just want everybody to keep this in mind when we're discussing this individual case.
So we can discuss individual cases and each variance is individual, but they're not precedent setting. So just as we would say no to this doesn't mean we could say and not say yes to your neighbor or vice versa, right?
Yep.
It is important for council to know, and they have looked on similar instances. We have examples, just like you said, examples of some that are there now, some built before 91, some after. We are sympathetic to the situation in terms of the placement of your home prior to these ordinances. But our job to do as a legislative body, though, is to make sure that we're putting into effect and force ordinances and rules and standards that apply across the board. So a person who wanted to build may not have to come for a variance during their situation to be more amenable to older homes, to encourage redevelopment and to encourage improvement. So it's more, well, it is one decision, it's also local in terms of what we do for our community. So that's why we do that. Thank you. All right, council, you have the option, you can vote to approve or deny the motion as it sits at this time and date, or you can send it back to DRB for input. You place, part of the reason we send it back to DRB is they are the recommending body for these types of situations, these type of variances. They have not seen this change. In fact, you know, because it was turned in so late, the public has not really had an opportunity to see this sheet either. It's not included in the packet. So, you know, those are some of the things that give me pause and make it a reason why we can send it back. So we decided to send it back to you. It's their decision.
Quick question here. So if the motion is put on the table to approve it, and that is denied, and then
Another motion we made was so the DRB evaluation. So we'll die that one. Yes.
Could you go back to DRB with a revised plan? Well, I mean, it would cost, you have to start the process all over. And
I'd rather start processing, right? I don't want to give you this.
Right, I believe in Mr. Amos and correct me if I'm wrong, if you make a vote, make a decision, and then come back, then it would be an inheritance.
So that would be a new variance. So, I mean, in essence, if you want the new, if it's council's desire to have the new layout looked at by DRB, you're probably doing the applicant a favor by sending it back. You know, or you, if council feels strongly, they can vote. So it's council's choice.
I was comfortable going back to DRB, just because we do typically go by recommendations. And I think if they see the new revised plan, I would hope that we get one more consideration.
I would agree with that.
Make a motion.
Personal.
Make a motion to send it back to DRB.
I'll say.
Okay, second by Councilperson Markey. Any further discussion, council?
Yeah, I would just include with that, I would encourage, to add these calculations for.
Absolutely, and that's going to be allocated more. Any further conversation, council, on those concerns? Seeing none, we can go ahead with Councilperson Day.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously to have this reviewed by DRB with the new changes.
Mary and I will go back to DRB at their April meeting. I do have enough time to notice in March for the April meeting.
Yeah, we'll try to March. Okay, sounds
So
good.
it'll be in April hearing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Item number B, town council meeting minutes for February 2022, as well as town council workshop meeting minutes for February 22nd, 2022. Council can approve these all as one item. Or you can hold them and discuss them separately. Motion to approve.
Here, a motion to approve both sets of meetings.
For second. Second, Councilperson Day. Council, any further comments, concerns? None, we can vote in the Councilperson.
Aye.
Item B, 1 and 2, carried unanimously. Next up is item C, boathouse use. This is an item that was tabled from our January town council minutes, or council meeting rather. Consents listed from our February 22nd workshop. That table was to allow for input from committees as well as the council. At that council workshop, it was recommended a letter of 60-day notice of termination for the current leases that is attached. Also authorization for staff to receive proposals for cameras and a split rail fence. And desire to move forward with HPD recommendation of update structures, not structures, and have a period of time for rehabilitation, and then revisit the lottery system. And board profession. Any comments, concerns, council? Look for a motion to approve a 60-day notice of termination of the current lease.
Mayor, you did have two.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, you had two individuals that signed up, Judy Black and Mr. Hardeman.
Thank you guys for reminding me. Who did we, yeah, I'm sorry, sir, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. My name is Bert Hardeman. I'm the Fishback Dominant Law Firm, 1947 Lee Road, Winter Park, Florida, 32789. I have the pleasure of representing the owners of the 5 boathouses located just west of Pine Street and 3rd Avenue in Lake Butler. They're Kurt Frazier, Ann Finelli, Russell Gentry, George Polker, and Jerry Fay, all residents of the Town of Windermere. We want to make sure this evening that there are no misunderstandings by the council with respect to your deliberations on the item you have agenda for this evening. So the points I'm going to make are for clarity and a request at the end of my few comments that I have. The town does not own the boathouses themselves. The boathouses are owned by my clients. The town does not have the riparian rights associated with these properties. The riparian rights were severed from the upland many decades ago. Deeds, agreements, and conveyances of each of these boathouses and the riparian rights associated with them occurred starting before the plat of the property. Those boathouses were constructed beginning between 1910, sometime before 1910 and 1915. Thereafter, a single large tract of land lying between Lake Butler and Lake Bessie was platted. Plat's known as the Plat of Windermere. Many of you have purchased your homes, and the deed will say the lot number in the plat. That was in 1920. The plat shows Pine Street and 3rd Avenue, Tract F, which is known as Palmer Park now, and hundreds of lots in the town. Each of my clients and their predecessors in title owned a lot or lots, which are part of this plat of the original tract. And my clients continue to own homes and lots that are part of that plat as of today. The town of Windermere did not receive any dedication or rights to the park, which is known as Tract F, as I mentioned, on the foregoing plat, until 1925, 5 years after the plat. Importantly, the town has acknowledged that my clients own the boathouse structures, and that is not in dispute. And a prior town council in 2001 designated those boathouses as local historical structures. However, the town has asserted that the town has the riparian rights to which the boathouses are subject, and the town has claimed to lease to my clients the bottom of Lake Butler upon which the boathouses are located, and the right of ingress and egress through Pine Street to the boathouses, when in fact the town did not and does not own the Lake Butler lake bottom, the respective riparian rights associated therewith, nor the right to lease public right-of-way for access to my client's property, the boathouses. The payments that the town requested from my clients for the riparian and access rights have been paid by my clients to maintain goodwill with the town. My clients had no obligation to make such payments, and in fact, my clients have been charged for something the town did not own to be able to lease. As previously I noted, prior to the leases that the town had requested, the boathouse owners and their predecessors not only constructed and maintained those boathouses at their private expense, but they accessed these boathouses through walkways from the Pine Street right-of-way. With no charge, no lease. As your town attorney will tell you, access rights are a substantive property right recognized under Florida law. And in order for the boathouse owners to be able to use their boathouses, they must continue to be able to exercise their rights of ingress and egress, which access was recognized for multiple decades prior to the leases. Fencing or blocking access to the boathouses would constitute a taking, an unconstitutional, uncompensated taking, not only of my client's access rights, but of my client's ownership of the structures and my client's riparian rights. The value of the boathouses, the access rights, and the riparian rights, the value is substantial. And we strongly request that the town not block or interfere with their respective, my client's rights. Finally, we again request, as we had in a letter to the council previously, we again request
the opportunity to meet with the town, to discuss with the town and between the town and the boathouse owners, an opportunity to work together in a cooperative fashion. We remain, my clients remain, all of them, ready, willing, and able to meet to discuss that mutual accommodation. Until we reach an agreement, we respectfully request that the town council not take any action to interfere with the boathouse and my client's riparian and egress rights to the boathouses. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. There was also some other individuals, and I apologize, that were going to comment on the boathouse issue. McKinley, I know being one of them.
McKinley, 536 Magnolia Street, Windermere. My question on the boathouses have to do with the authorization for staff to receive proposals for cameras and split rail fencing. That's question number one. Is there a problem there that we have to install fencing and cameras, or I'm not aware of anything that's been happening down there. Of course, I'm out of the loop, so maybe there is.
I'll let you finish and then I'll answer.
Okay, I just, I haven't seen the need for that expense, for the fencing and for the cameras. Either. The other is, at the end of it says, then revisit the lottery system or leave them empty, board discretion. Or board direction, rather. Is Historical Preservation Board going to decide what happens if you move forward with this, or is council going to decide what happens when you move forward with this? The way this is written, it's board discretion. Talking about council, you're talking about HPD.
Very much council discretion. And in terms of the fencing, so we're talking about the split rail fence. I'm careful to call that fencing because we're at demarcation. And then because we have cameras in most of the other parks now to help us monitor those situations, we discussed it at the workshop. One of the things we talked about was including that as well. And that is done out of abundance of caution because there have been some complaints from, especially Mr. Hickler, in terms of people coming up on stock and launching boats there and different things like that. So we're just trying to be proactive. And also there's been concerns about it becoming a drop-off area. It has not to date, but we want, one thing that we have learned about these things, proactive. Thank you, sir. I don't want to forget anybody here. So I know we have Judy Black who would like to speak. Raise your hand. I don't want to leave it there. Judy, come on, go ahead and put your name and address.
Hello, I'm Judy Black, and I live at 405 West 3rd Avenue. Many of you know where I stand with regard to the boathouse. But I'd like to tell you how I feel. I feel disappointed. I'm disappointed in the evolution of the workshops. I'm disappointed in the conversations with a lack of. I'm disappointed in the failure to reach a mutual understanding way before we got to this point. I witnessed the owners' cooperation. They cooperated with working on a new lease. They cooperated with an idea of providing them a fair and reasonable compensation. They offered you a first right of refusal to transfer ownership. Nothing that the owners presented was listened to or given any consideration. I'm appalled by the lack of respect and disdain exhibited towards these town residents. I'm also very sad. I lived across from Palmer Park when my children were growing up. I live there now when my grandchildren play. Living there has been a constant joy for my family. I'm curious, who built up this problem and why? It feels like a breakup. I feel betrayed because I wasn't aware these political beings existed in our town. I want to go on record once again to state that I'm in favor of private ownership of the boathouses.
I'm opposed to the town council taking any action for them. I don't feel we can rely on or even know the town's intention. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further comment on the boathouse agenda item? All right, council. We have item number 1, which is our 60-day notice of termination for the current lease. What was agreed upon in our workshop and some clarifications on it. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
Item 1 you're referring to, the termination.
This is the 60-day notice of termination of the current leases. By Councilperson Sapp, you for a second. Second, Councilperson Data. Council, any further conversations, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, begin voting with Councilperson Mertz. Aye.
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 Item number 1, motion carries 4-1. Number 2 is the authorization for staff to receive proposals, for cameras, split rail fencing. What objection if we just break that out?
We've already received quotes. It's $9,400 for the camera system, which is under my spending threshold, and it's $1,700 for the split rail fencing.
Let that way.
Well, I mean, it's under my spending authority. If that is the consent of council, then we can move forward with the purchase.
We'll break it out and make sure.
Okay.
All right. Council, that is $9,400 and $1,700 for split rail fencing. Council, I'm looking for a motion. Split rail fence and cameras for portion of one.
Question, can we, I think we discussed adding the anticipation of the structure being taken and to safeguard or just be able to monitor the area and the split rail fences. As you mentioned there, more of a demarcation, a lot of access, more of a visual deterrent. Getting to the boathouses. I would prefer to move forward with split rail fencing and all the cameras such times it's necessary, or maybe becomes necessary. It's a lot of money to spend on something that we don't have an issue like we do at Lake Street Park and also at Ferdinand Park. Obviously, the cameras are necessary there, but table that portion of it.
You're proposing a motion for just a split rail.
Okay.
Council.
So just a question. Why is split rail fence with cameras? The cameras have been installed in the rest of the parks. And, absent of this issue, I think we would have finally gotten to installing camera systems in all of our parks. So I would agree we break it out because I think there's separate issues, but, it's why one and not the other.
Well, you don't really need either at the moment. We don't have an issue with people using that site a lot for access. I know Mr. Taylor has had We don't even need to split rail fence, we can leave it the way it is. I was just thinking back to the workshop when we were anticipating the structure being empty and having some type of at least visual deterrent for it.
Yeah, I think that was the intent.
Right.
It was, we discussed it.
It wasn't more of an access to it. It's not a fence. It's basically a visual barrier more than anything else.
My concern, Bill, without doing it either, is if we put the squeeze on Fernwood, do some of the modifications we're doing there, I think what we're gonna do is push that feature elsewhere. I'm afraid it's Palmer Park. Where they go.
Yeah, it's like whack-a-mole.
Exactly, or one of those, water squeeze in one place, and pop out somewhere else. So I'm just concerned, and, I'd like to get the chief's opinion on what his thoughts are, going forward, and, because I know they had a great presence, this weekend in Fernwood, and that died down. I don't know if you saw any additional activity in other areas, because of that, chief.
We did, but remember last year, especially during the summertime, we did see an increase over in that area, and that's one of the reasons Mr. Campbell and some others, as we were putting some increase on Fernwood Park, we got Fernwood, we got 4th Street, we got Lake Street, all those that are picking up. We did see an increase. I didn't prepare any stats as far as how much we got. It certainly isn't like Lake Street, no doubt about that. But we saw people being picked up over at that location. We got regular calls because their docks are so close to the public park. They were just picking up from out of there. So we did have an increase last year, and I think in the past we talked about putting cameras in all the parks. So I think that's why we chose to move in that direction.
Would we also be able to see proper property? I know we're talking about like photographs or would you be able to see the actual park as well?
We should, actually, Tanya's been working on that project for the camera itself, but I'll let her answer that.
You can move the cameras and point them in the directions you want. They're also available, I think, to add 2 additional cameras if you want to point them towards Palmer Park as well. So it's adaptable for later if necessary.
We got multiple cameras on the mast. I'm open to that, it's necessary at this point.
Do you feel like the cameras that we have been adding,
I think that's always been the case. Back when Mayor Burton was here, we discussed this issue. Matter of fact, we project out that all the parts back in that time. So this is really not taking 7 years to come to fruition.
cameras?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Hold off and see if they're, more passive type. I don't know, it's there.
Yeah, if I can add, I mean, certainly the other parts there's been a lot more issues. So I just want my comments there to indicate last year we did see an increase in that area with the residents calling because of people trespassing, getting picked up, and those were the issues that we had.
I assume that will continue without increase the restrictions at Fernwood Park.
All right, council looking for a motion, you can put them together, you can break them out. You just choose one of them.
Mayor, I would propose a motion to install cameras only at Palmer Park pursuant to the course of action.
Councilperson Davis, looking for a second. Second from Councilperson Davis. Concerns? And voting Councilperson Davis.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion for cameras carries unanimously. Council's intent to defer on the fence, right? The council will need a motion to move forward with the Historical Preservation Board recommendation to update structures, not to remove structures, and have a period of time for rehabilitation. Revisit the lottery system, leave them empty at the council.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to move forward the Historic Preservation Board course of action to restore the boathouses. We've been empty during time of construction and revisit.
Motion by Councilperson Day, looking for a second.
I'll second.
Second from Councilperson Day. Also, any further comments? Seeing none, we can go to Councilperson Martin.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 4-1 with Councilperson. Next up is town manager evaluations. Here you're gonna present. Oh, I'm so sorry. I think this is.
I do not know why.
Pull the grenade and let it go.
And I use this time to kind of, we want to compliment Robert and to kind of, I know, working with staff and our council. So some of these accomplishments probably started in the last 4 years, well, 3 years ago, but I kind of want to go through a couple highlighted things that we've done. Mostly starting out when I first started refreshing the logo, branding, and stuff like that. Now facilities and other projects we use, railroad right-of-way acquisitions, subsequently plan for the Fort Trail, which we're close to funding, master water plan, to get potable water to every driveway, working towards funding there. We've got a new admin in the first facility, which is absolutely amazing. Several outside funded road and stormwater projects, which have taken down millions of dollars the last few years. We've had several tropical events, had a pandemic, and still been able to keep a healthy reserve and an aggressive budget. We've got new public forums and outreach with social media. We've got the Q&A with Robert, all of which led to constructive discussion. There are roads, brewery is approved, and now it's moved to the downtown redevelopment project. There's just like a lot of exciting things that have moved a lot faster pace since we've implemented that public input. And then even with the trail, you finally get to the road there. So, and as an outsider, I don't think we always see behind the curtain. Sometimes it's ominous. It's portrayed ominous with the government. I've had an opportunity over the last 4 years to work with the administration and DP and see that they've absolutely worked their tails off past years, even before those extra workshops and public meetings and notices are all positive directions that the town manager has put forward. It's going to help council moving forward for us to get things done. So with that said, looking at everybody's evaluations, it was pretty consistent across the board. I averaged out everything. And I think the average score is 8.82 out of 10, which is excellent. I think everybody can agree with that without even actually seeing the spreadsheet. Per the contract, there is a minimum pay increase of 3%. Due to the stellar evaluations accomplishments, I propose we go to 3.5, which would increase the total pay to 146,970.
Just roll it forward.
Make a motion to increase the salary.
We have a motion by Councilor Staff. Second. Council, any further discussion? things happening, Robert. We appreciate your dedication. It's, I get to work with a lot of different city officials and city managers. I think it's the number one thing that, you know, buildings are nice, saving money is nice. But the caliber of people that we have for some of the pieces. And all those people sitting over there and a bunch that aren't here tonight and a bunch that were here tonight. That's what's important to me. Any further comment? Let's have a vote. We need voting with Councilor Markey. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we unanimous on that. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your service.
No, thank you. Would be remiss to say, you know, it's just not me, it takes a team. So I do want to thank Chief Ogden, Dorothy Burkhalter, Nora White, Tanya Ellie Moore, Diane, who got an award tonight. She's doing a great job. Of course, Heather tries to keep us out of legal trouble. All the public works staff, admin, and PD. As I keep saying, it's more of a family than it is just coworkers. And I think we built a very good family. And my home is here, so when they would drag me out of here or beat me up if I even considered going anywhere else. But I love it here, and I appreciate all the positive comments, and I look forward for another, as long as they'll have me.
We're happy to have you, and the whole team as well. I mean, Robert does, that seriously, fire makes it happen. What I've seen happen here for the last 10 years. All right, with that, we'll move to new business and dispatch you with some great recognition in a moment. But I think we're going to start, I guess we're going to start getting squared in.
Yeah, I know Healthy West Orange has been here for quite some time, but the reason that I had to keep you here is because it's a resolution that has to be voted on by the new business, not old business. So I do apologize for keeping you in for the civics course, but.
James and Ryan. It's good to be sworn in and not sworn at.
So that's coming later. Raise your right hand. I, James O'Brien.
I, James O'Brien.
Solemnly swear or affirm.
Solemnly swear or affirm.
That I will support.
I will support.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And will obey the laws.
And will obey the laws.
Of the state of Florida.
Of the state of Florida.
And that I will.
That I will.
In all respects.
In all respects.
Observe the provisions.
Observe the provisions.
Of the charter.
Of the charter.
And ordinances.
And the ordinances.
Of the town of Windermere.
Of the town of Windermere.
And will faithfully discharge.
Faithfully discharge.
The duties of mayor.
The duties of mayor.
Congratulations. It's always good to do 3 words at a time, so.
Give him like 6. Let's see how he's doing.
You have a record. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Lauren A. Williams.
I,
Solemnly swear or affirm.
solemnly swear or affirm
That I will support.
that I will support the
The Constitution of the United States.
Constitution of the United States
And will obey the laws.
and will obey the laws
Of the state of Florida.
of the state of Florida,
That I will.
that I will,
In all respects.
in all respects,
Observe the provisions.
observe the provisions
Of the charter.
of the charter
And ordinance.
and the ordinance
Of the town of
of
Windermere.
the town of Windermere,
And faithfully discharge.
and faithfully discharge
The duties of council member.
the duties of council.
Congratulations. Please do you two years. I, Molly Rose,
I, Molly Rose,
solemnly swear or affirm
solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and will obey
and will obey
the laws of the state of Florida,
the laws of the state of Florida,
that I will,
that I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the charter
of the charter
and ordinance
and ordinance
of Town of Windermere,
of the Town of Windermere,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of council member.
the duties of council member.
So at this time, we have Mr. Staff over here. The shovel.
Oh, throw a party. Twice that?
What's that?
Oh, no, if you stand right here, please, so you can flag. Very flag, but I just want to echo a lot of what you said about me. The last week here, there's accomplished a lot. It's been a pleasure working with you. I do see a lot of stuff we talked about 4 years ago coming to fruition. Facilities, making sure we got adequate infrastructure in place, making sure we got adequate reserves. A lot of you don't know that Chris staff has been with the town for quite some time, not only in his position as councilman, but also with downtown business. There's a lot to that board and committee, and with your dedication and volunteers when it comes to the Winter Craft Beer Fest, and then becoming a council member and volunteer your time not only for the town events but other events. It's been a pleasure. Appreciate it. Notice you. Pass the mayor to others to actually present the lights. I don't know.
It's been a long meeting, so I think they're just refreshing. They'll be right.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh, that's great.
I do have the suspenders.
Oh, yeah, Blippi.
I do have the suspenders, but.
Probably let you talk. But Christian, you always bring style, class, you always do your homework. You're always thinking about all the aspects of every issue. We love having you as a neighbor. We love serving you for these past 4 years. 4 right now, so just feels like 6. We've got a lot of other things that you're going to do, and I know you're going to be super involved. We're all going to miss you and your direction, your guidance, and our town's a better place. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The mayor's like, that's so cute.
Peace out. It's like bestie.
I'm not going anywhere. There's a couple of things we want to get to the finish line. I am a committee member with West Orange Chamber, Government Advisory Committee. So we're going to be still supporting, trying to get everything to the finish line in regards to water with the state appropriations. And then whatever you guys decide on tonight, with the 1 cent sales tax, I'll stick around, see what the result of that is. And, I'll make it known. So I'll be around.
That's more color.
Thanks. Maybe sit back. That's where we're doing. I'll keep these for the next quarter bet.
So cute.
Yeah, no, you keep stuff. It's the best part of this entire business.
Always taking it over already.
We will need your signatures before you decide. Yes, make sure it's official. And
You did return your cup.
Yes, and, all right, well, that proves that we have some. And some really exercise.
Really should have done that before the long house session.
Yeah. That is great. It's not any where that's from. Proving that you can get anything on Amazon. Your new business remove to our consent items. Council, in front of you tonight, you have several variance requests. Actually, more variance requests than I've seen in my entire time. So there are items. I'm just going to assume that council's going to want to pull these and discuss them. Is that council's direction? I was just going to take a wild guess. All right, so we'll start with item 1. This is the 22-01. This is for 19 Main Street. A variance to allow a pool less than 50 feet from the normal high water mark. Attachments are provided. DRB recommends denial of pool.
And Mayor, we do have Mr. Nguyen, who's here to speak on the matter after.
Brad, do you want to start and then we'll go ahead and hear.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll do a quick overview. As you said there, this is a pool variance there at 19 Main Street and looking to place a pool less than 50 feet from the normal high water line. As I said earlier, we did also have your lake consultant also look at this one as well, since we have the same issue on this property. And again, her recommendation on maintaining the 50-foot setback applies to this property as well. So she did also make that recommendation. Same comments as before in terms of the seawall and that part of it. Beyond that, you have the plan in front of you. He has not provided any updated change to that. If you recommend denial of it, this plan is here. I believe I'll be able to present inside of the case.
Brad, council, any questions of Brad on this? Item number T22-01.
Yeah, just real quick, Brad. So on the back side near the high water mark there, is this a sloping area, the topo lines of base, sloping versus seawall?
I believe it currently is. I do understand that he is planning on putting a seawall in. We don't have that permit yet.
And then offset of the pool from the house.
Right. From our variance criteria, we don't look at that part because that's, like I said earlier, it's a building code issue as far as that goes. So that's something that, cannot be varied. That's under the building code. That separation between the pool and the house. So what we're looking at is the setback from normal high water for the side property. I will just so the council is aware, is also on this property, for this particular request, in terms of some impervious area, he's just under the 45%. He's at 44.6%. in terms of the total impervious on the site with the existing house and the proposed pool. So that's where he would be if this was to be approved as impervious. I also did run the stormwater calculations and just roughly based on the information. I also used to run as nice with the engineers, it gives a lot of information to work out, which is a little bit nicer for us. But when we ran those calculations, at the 1 inch, it would be approximately 217 cubic feet of storage on that. The 1 inch standard. And that would be required whether or not you approve the variance. That would be the same, if we got 50 or something.
Council, any further comments, questions, or concerns? Brad, at this point, we'll have the applicant address.
I just want to say thank you for your public service, and I'm not familiar here. I've not lived here for 20, 30 years. I think actually a great presentation and her neighbors who were on this. She's actually right next door to me. We chat all the time with me. And I see how she presented, so I didn't make any modifications to my presentation or my application, so I was waiting to see what the review was. And part of which was, Ashley and I both love the water, and that's what we bought. Where we could afford to be on the water, which is there. Our house was built back in 1959. We had the opportunity 6 years ago to buy a house. My wife and I both are Florida-based professional engineers, which is understand what it takes to renovate a house, new ways. So one of the first things we did was we moved the septic from the back to the front. In which case, we can't move the house any further to the front because there's setback requirements where the septic's got to be from the road, because that leaves the house. So in which case, the house where it is since 1959. And you heard the case last year why that is kind of finding and too much else. That aspect also is that we can't really move 40 further forward like she did because our house actually sits at 50 feet from the back. There's no thing we do about it and move it to the side yards and on the side of the road. I guess the question here is that what is the harm? How can we build something, engineer something that would prevent any damage to the water? And that's why I kind of looked at it. And, we hired Hodgins Outdoor to build a seawall for us. He built a bunch of seawalls for everybody in this town. And they're still standing, so I think it's a good builder. Signed a contract with them, they fee, we from the processing, engineering. We hired a pool company for their engineers who how to build that. We need to hire another engineering firm to say, this is how you can lay out the backyard so that it doesn't damage the water, because I think the damage here is not from the pool, but from the runoff of the fertilizers. It goes into damage to the water. The pool itself, as stated by the first presentation, is that you got pools on there, and through many 30, 40 years, there's never been a catastrophic failure to dump the pool into the water or storm that raised it so badly that it dump all that into the map. So if we need to, I may be trusting because I don't know what to do. If we need to be another engineering firm to come in and say, if you structure this way, the likelihood of failure, the likelihood of risks reduced, we keep clean, we're willing to do all that. And that's what I'm here tonight to say is that based on that judgment, we're willing to reduce the amount of footprint we have in the deck there to make it less than 44%, whatever it is, reduce the size of the pool, so it's cost effective, that would pool to enjoy still. But what it comes down to is that the variance is there for a reason, but if we can build a pool in a backyard that is safe, or a child, like a 4-year-old that looks across the canal and say, why is the children across the swimming in their pool and I don't have one? I just can't tell them to jump in the canal. They'll go out and feed the fish in the canal, and we can into the dock because they're fishing there. And a couple of turtles. She loves doing that almost every night. Provide her with that pool, so in the summertime she'll swim with the awesome. So we're here to ask, if we need another engineering firm to come in and say, this is something we can enforce, slow your property so that you can have proper protections that we're already doing the seawall, how do you put in there, as you stated, 4 feet down, 4 feet up in the high water mark, away from base. The water's gonna basically drain. From engineering talk, understand what the recommendation was, I don't think it's a yes or no or indifference. The lake lady wasn't about saying seawall, Texas said, you got 50 feet. That's pretty good protection. I mean, very protection, 75 feet, but now it's getting ridiculous. So why do we have a 50-foot line and not a 25-foot line? So if we need an engineer to come in, we'd love to hire a consultant to come in and provide that information, because I don't know if there's anyone on, and no offense to the, zoning board, but I don't know if anyone on there is specialized or subject matter expert in that area.
Thank you very, very much. Any questions for the applicant?
Yes, just a couple. So I think the answer is one. So the height of the seawall is 4 foot above high water mark, 4 foot below.
It's gonna be whatever the cost is recommend. I mean, he said he's gonna put a deep ground spot as well as up there to make sure that the high water mark doesn't provide any storm risk.
Okay, with that being said, I'm not sure you can answer the next one, but the final slope of the backyard with the seawall.
You have to make those changes because, if we're gonna get denied, we're gonna put a seawall, it doesn't require a pool. There's no right down there for the seawall.
Okay. And then the same question I asked Brad, you may be able to answer, but offset from the pool to the back of the house.
It's almost it's a new foundation in the back also. Like I said, look, right down north here, it's 6 years ago, it was a peach house, Sam, I don't know what was in front of it. Now it's a nice blue house with vaulted in the front. You can see the map from the road out, and so that's where our septic line, the green was. You circle a driveway because traffic got so bad. Usually it wasn't this bad, now it's gotten worse, so we've made every provision possible to improve that property so that it is valued. It's looked on, and kept it the same theme as the area.
Council, any further
Question for Brad. I sat on PRB when we were doing the other house, and my comment was that if we gave variances for this, that there will be maybe as many as 100 homes that are going to be coming to put in a pool. I for one, can't put a pool in mine either because I'm too close. I was told in '93 that you had to be 50 feet, so it's not like a new rule. But what would be our process if we wanted to relook at this code? Because I think I read somewhere in here, and maybe it's not right, but there, Winter Garden, Ocoee, and Groveland that only have 25-foot setbacks.
That was provided by the applicant on their part. And you'll see your consolidated consultant also provided.
And I know I read Winter Garden is 50, and we usually follow Winter Park, so I get that. But I don't understand, and I never have understood what's driving it to 50. What would be the process to reevaluate this?
Basically, it would be for town council to direct the town manager to go through the process to consider an amendment to your land development code to make that change.
But
that wouldn't.
But I mean, we want to do it with some sense that this is the right thing to do, because we obviously care about the lake. I don't understand what the danger is to the lake either, quite frankly, but that's always the rule. So.
I think we have a good resource now with your lakes consultants to provide that feedback and input to council as you look at that to consider changing it. Because that is your level of expertise in terms of what are good protections.
You understand what my issue is. If we approve either one of these schools, and I know you take each one in its own, but it does set a precedent. And then you got to look at them all, and I don't know why the 5 or 6 schools got approved before, and nobody was here that now that was here then, so we don't know.
I think most of the prior. So what I hear you saying is, just how we do this, still want to do it for the right reasons, not just to say like, okay, because we want pools. But how do we evaluate this more? How do we get some data on it? How do we learn what the real risks are? Are we mitigating for the right risks?
Yeah.
That's the question.
And Fish and Wildlife, they've changed. When I moved in, they didn't like seawalls, for example. And then about 10 years ago or 15 years ago, all of a sudden seawalls were better than the same. So things change and maybe they would read, maybe they're the ones who are going to ask. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly to better understand, make sure we're taking objective looking at it, that's why we have the process. And maybe it's that you can have a pool 40 feet away, if you don't have a different type of structure. And again, council's not an expert on all these things, or any of these things necessarily. What we're trying to do is to understand what's happening in the community, understand what's happening in older homes, and to look at what makes sense.
And maybe it's
Maybe that's the answer.
checking out what Ocoee and Winter Garden are doing and why they went from 50 to 25. Maybe there's some sense.
So that has to be.
Very well, absolutely.
But certainly, I mean, we can request to do a deep dive on this. Best decision, best information possible. But as of today, the rule is still 50 feet. Whittling over that all the time. It's not a very pleasant position for anyone. You can't plan for what's in your backyard. And again, contrary to popular belief, we're really that's some ordinances and regulations that make sense.
That's waiting for people to sign on this.
So I guess my question, how do we reevaluate? Because, as I mentioned last week, our last town council meeting, this ordinance is single faceted. I think there's more engineering right into it, specifically with, your potential inclusion of the seawall, Ms. Walker's inclusion of the seawall, that presents a very different engineering situation than a sloping beach down to the waterfront.
So in the past, what we've done with situations like this where we want to potentially look at the modification or change of any ordinance is we typically send it back to, not send make a request, that gathered information with staff expertise, and Brad's expertise, whoever else we need. Good decisions. That's the way. Is that fair? That's fair, Brad? Yes, sir.
Yeah, typically with any land development code changes, it would go to DRB for recommendation. And then if you're going to amend your LDCs, then you're gonna have to go through two ordinance readings. So it's a lengthy process, but if that's something you want us to take a look at, we're more than happy to.
But I wouldn't start with DRB. I think you guys need to do the homework and take it to them.
Correct.
Let them.
Yeah, I was gonna. Well, I think we need some engineering behind this before we bring it to DRB, because, DRB will look at maybe park and other ordinances and make their conclusions based on that, but I think it's additional analysis that we bring forward to DRB for them to make their.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
In Orange County, only is a 25-foot setback. I would be open to exploring that as well. Going to go with my previous comments about DRB's recommendation or ordinance and our lakes consultant at this time, but if there's an option to look at these and make exceptions for pools, and I'm a firm believer that people should be able to build these houses up and improve the property value, but kind of stymied by the setback requirements. This gentleman's perfectly able to put an above ground pool in his backyard, which has like 100 times higher risk of failure than a built-in pool. So it really would make sense for us to look at this a little further. down the pipeline.
So,
No pun.
so is that our lake consultant that would head that up?
We would utilize them, but we would also utilize Wade Trim and their engineers to gather the information from adjacent municipalities and jurisdictions to figure out the reasoning why they have the setbacks that they have, whether it's a different setback, if it's based on a canal, if they have a seawall, all the other factors that you've already indicated, and we can take that back to DRB probably in time for their May meeting, which will coincide with the Walker variance request. And if the council wants to do so, maybe in line with this request as well.
So certainly that's up to council. Everybody knows that whether it's easy or hard, I'd rather do it right.
Until, would that be the motion?
We have to table it to a time date certain.
We would re-advertise it as we would with the Ashley Walker submittal.
Need a motion for that? Or we just table it and give staff direction?
I don't, did we even motion the Ashley Walker one? So yeah, it would just be reverting it back to DRB. They didn't motion the 11 Main Street.
Yeah.
When we didn't motion, but that was because it came back, you know, making sure.
Great action. She did one, so
Yeah, we motioned it to go back to here.
Yeah, because that one went to DRB twice and then town council twice, so.
Because we didn't want, we just wanted that.
Or do we want to motion this to go back?
We're going to motion this to go back as well. And then we'll do the conversation.
Okay, I'll make a motion that this goes back.
Second. And by Councilperson Lewis, second Sal right away, and it's second by Councilperson Abbott. Council, any further discussion?
I do have to point out that the applicant is asking for a 30-foot exception, 50-foot setback. So, I mean, is there any flexibility in your plans to
it's all flexible.
reduce that? I know it's on paper, but you know,
It's all flexible because I don't know what the ruling is. I make it fit.
I think
what I hate to see happen is us go to a 25-foot setback sometime in the future, and you have a 30-foot request and get denied after all this. So you're going to go back to the drawing board and, you know, in between.
If you go to a 25-foot setback, we'll make it fit.
I think you're saying bring your best offer.
Hey, what I'm saying is that we're similar to Coe, Winter Garden, Vermont, 25 feet. We'll redesign the pool, the back area to make it comply to that ordinance.
Stephen, I see it. Everybody go ahead.
Stephen Miller, 712 Main Street, I'm on the DRB. My concern is the DRB and the council required by state law this issue of variance only when there's a hardship. My buying a property that I can't fit a pool on is not a hardship. That's an economic situation. The state clearly defines as saying, you know, economic issues like that are not a hardship. You need a house that's got a big lot on it, you put a pool in it, then you buy that and you can't afford it. All right, that's the way to move.
Stephen, I totally agree, and that is the grounds for each and every variance.
That's what we have to evaluate when we see these things. And, you know, all these people we're fantastic, great citizens. Nobody questions that. The other thing is as I understood, the 50-foot setback had nothing to do with pools, et cetera. It was created a area of vegetation which absorbed fertilizers and everything else before it got to like.
And septic tanks, I believe, too, as part of that.
Exactly.
And to your point, and this is exactly why I don't want to just do this one-off. If we need to review best practices as they sit today for pristine waterways, let's do that. And then if there's a there, we can bring it to PRB. If there's none, you just report back.
I mean, I think the DRB can be anti unless you change the ordinance.
That's what we're talking about.
Exactly right.
If there's a reason to change the ordinance, then it goes back to DRB for review of that issue.
Remember, I think that 54 is set up to create a green buffer that stores chemicals and stuff.
I totally agree, and I think that's why we just want to check, and we're not gonna we're not gonna tie your hands in terms of if that's the way it stays and those are the rules, then it'll be that way. And I think part of this is that we respect the DRB's opinion so much that we are not looking to go against that without really sound rationale and reason. So I think we'll get you where you want to go, if that makes sense. Thank you. Right, so any other further comments? Just on that one. Good. So, got a motion in a second, discussion, no further, we'll be enjoying with motion, possible comment. Is there a comment?
If I might,
Why not? We're big on public comments tonight.
Well, McKinley, 536, I go explain when you. I just have a question as to what you're sending it back to DRB. You haven't changed the requirements. They have reviewed it under the current requirements. The other one you sent back because there was a change that had not been reviewed by DRB. Why is this one back? Maybe you can explain that.
Because it's our intent.
You're going to change the requirements. And that's going to take some time. You have to change it. We're looking at 4 months delay. Or you actually vote on this thing? So I just don't understand.
So what we're trying to do is to allow the applicant not to have to go through the process again, and by sending it back, and hopefully with some pretty expeditious work on staff's behalf, we can have some direction at that point to provide further guidance to the applicant at that time and DRB, so they can determine what the best mix is and how to go forward. That's all. We're just trying to preserve the particular variance so you don't have to do the whole process again because it's pretty costly.
Would it be better to table this till such time as the ordinance change is considered?
I don't think you can table it for that long.
The applicant could withdraw until then. But let's
We would need to do a date certain if we're going to table it. So we would rather send it back to DRB.
It can go back to DRB. You've already voted on it. Oh, no, we haven't voted on it. So, I mean, you can either, you already have a motion and everything, you just send it back. It doesn't impact it in terms of still giving your intent. I mean, if you park it or set it out for 6 months time for certain, I mean, I don't know, is that better? You're trying to be consistent by sending it back.
As Mr. Willis says, I do understand where he sees the difference here. We had a change coming back here. We have it. My concern would just be that when it comes back to DRB, the ordinance wouldn't be changed at that point in May. We would have our ideas to present, but your DRB would still be reviewing under your ordinance as it currently is. So there's nothing, as I look at it, that would change in terms of what the DRB is looking at and criteria that they have to apply, even though we would be having at that same meeting discussion about potential changes to the ordinance. That's my only concern about bringing them both back like that, because they would be still bound by the ordinance that's in effect.
Yeah, so you don't get anything.
They're not gonna change their view until the code change, if it were to change.
Correct.
They're trying to keep this man from having to go back through the whole process.
If he withdraws, so you have to, can you reconstitute that?
I mean, he would have to reapply and pay the applicable fees.
Yeah.
because he's withdrawing his entire application.
Correct. If we delay it to a time certain, we have leeway there. See, I see this.
The owners.
You're.
So my understanding was that there would be an engineering review, in which a recommendation would go to the DRB. And that engineering review would be taken by the council also to, or potentially or not, with the changes based upon the engineering review. If the recommendation is to move 25 feet, then DRB may take into consideration, they review the applicant again, even though it hasn't been gone through yet. They can't do that because that part of the ordinance. The choices are to, have it shot down here or, hold my request. I would hold my request until such time as the ordinance has been fully reviewed and vetted through.
It's gonna work. You like to pass it, but then give us your name and address.
My name is Emily, and I am a certified planner who lives in Vito, 1024 Chapter Drive. I used to be the development services manager for the city of Castleberry, where we amended our land development code almost on a regular basis because of the increased development that was coming in, and our antiquated code did not meet the new economy that we were dealing with. So we would often do moratoriums on specific code sections so that we put a pause on just that to allow for you to do your research, to put that applicant's project on hold, and it allows you to bring it back once you make that decision without having to do anything. So that's an option.
Thank you, Robert. We have any job applications?
Just as long as we, again, renotice everything to give the neighbors a fair review of the projects. I think that's what most of the intent of the council is. So, yeah, whatever avenue is legally available.
We're trying to be applicant friendly. That is, kind of drives a little bit of this confusion because typically what would happen is we would just say yes or no. And that would be that. All right, Steve. Come on.
Just remember, if you change the ordinance to say, like Tony mentioned, oh, you got a seawall, you got this in place, and you change the ordinance to accommodate those things, you gotta have to come back. You're not having a variance.
That's very true. That's what Councilperson Martini was making that point as well. Thank you. All right, so let's extricate ourselves from this now. So now we have a motion on the floor that basically probably to deny. And then can we make another motion to?
Well, is the applicant willing to withdraw his submittal based on what he just said?
So if he withdraws his submittal, go ahead.
If I withdraw, then I resubmit it once I found out.
Without reading the fee?
Without.
The fee aside, what is the progress? Because the fee compared to the pool is in the noise.
Yeah, I feel so.
I'm okay with whatever it takes. It's just a matter of what's the right process, the right timing. If you want to pull the moratorium to this aside, if I need to pull my application or, say, hold on, let's put a pause on it. I'm okay with all of the above options. But what makes sense is that you are correct. If it comes in 25, I don't really have to go in front of the board because my application fee is fine and dandy, and I'm just going to go apply for it. And it comes in that you're not going to move 25 feet. Sounds like I'm not going to get
Well, again, and if you do a moratorium, it's not applicable just to these two submittals, it's applicable town-wide.
That sideways or these sideways now. So
if that's the case, I'll withdraw my application. I would love to withdraw my application as long as the progress for reviewing the ordinance moves forward.
There's nothing in your code that says that the applicant cannot reapply. There's no limit on that. And there's nothing that says that the council couldn't provide a waiver of partial.
Much relief. Fair enough. All right. Thank you. And we will, so I guess my next conversation is, council, do we desire to give staff a look further at this? In terms of revised ordinance.
We take that offline.
Sounds like a whole workshop.
I was just going to have a discussion with staff engineer and perhaps or just to kind of what calls our executives. Significant engineering factors that we're not evaluating.
I mean, I think that's a conversation that you can have with the engineers. And get that input. Is that okay with you?
We'll find out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, any and all inputs.
I'm an engineer, I participate.
We'll make sure there's an opportunity for board. All right. Item number 2, this is the 22 dash 0. Right. Oh, yeah, that's right. So you gotta turn that down one, sorry. Okay, we have a motion and a second. No further comment from council, I suspect.
Wait a minute.
So the motion was to send it back to the DOT. And my suggestion would be that. No, we didn't vote in Councilperson Martinez.
He withdrew his application, so there's really nothing to decide on. You don't want to decide on this because again, it prevents him from bringing you.
So it's withdrawn. So we'll now move to Z 22-02. This is 6204 Street. This is a variance to allow an accessory structure in excess of 38%. Here we recommend approval 4 to 0 with 1 abstention. Brad?
Yes, sir. Quick, we'll give this case in 624 Street. What this variance is asking for, this property is on 4624. It is on one of those 250-foot wide lots there, where those two houses, it's on a 50-foot wide lot. The existing houses that was built there, they're basically right at the 38% maximum floor area because of the size of the house. What the applicant is looking to do, they're not looking to expand the house, so what they're looking to do is do an outdoor kitchen with a pool in their backyard, with a covered gazebo. Under your code, any accessory structure that has a roof, we have to include as part of the gross floor area for the property. That's why it brings it over the 38%, because it has a solid roof, is what they're doing. I will tell you that the DRB, they had quite a bit of discussion, and when they looked at it, where they basically came out, and the end of it was, the going over there, they're just at like 39. They felt it was very small because of what it was. It's a gazebo, it's part of the pool, it's not the house. They didn't make the recommendation.
What was the hardship? If we built it, why didn't they just reduce the size enough to make?
The heart, and Mr. Woodward, you know, they come in the GRB, but what I would say to the hardship of that one, it isn't a small narrow lot, it is undersized, so there is a limit in what could go there. Also because it is not the house expanding, and I do recall when those lots were split, there was a concern about that.
Yeah.
And the time, the size of the houses, and actually council at the time did say for the house, that there wouldn't be any variance or anything like that. You had to say that. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And before, if they didn't have the roof, then they wouldn't require
Right,
the
the other
variance.
part was if they did not have a solid roof, say they had a slanted roof, something like that, kind of like a trellis roof, that then would not fall under the floor area limitation because it's not solid. So there is an option that they could do.
I think. Brand new construction, it's a brand new house, they just bought it.
Yeah.
Well, there was to be a significant overhang on that structure as well.
That-
Restriction.
The code allows.
Roses point earlier, and on downsize this, get it to where it needs.
And just confirm the roof overhang, code actually allows a 48-inch overhang not to be counted as part of the area, for the floor area, so we don't include that roof overhang as part of it.
2%, right? Less. Council.
I'll make a motion to deny and suggest that they go and they reduce it.
Motion from councilperson. Second, from councilperson. Council, any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, begin voting with councilperson Abbott. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries unanimously. Item number 3, this is Z22-03. This is 920 Main Street. This is a variance to allow dock less than 16 feet. Side setback attachments are included. DRB recommends approval 5 to 0.
Just very quick for that presentation on this one. This is again 920 Main Street. This is an existing dock that has been in place for several years. What they're doing is they're doing, in addition to it, that will stay in line with the existing dock that is already there. So not expanding beyond the existing 10-foot setback that already exists at that location. We did do a search for a variance in the old records. We could never come across one or find one, but it is there. It was properly permitted, and so there was no objections to that.
This is my next door neighbor. We approved the variance 20 years ago with the old owners, and now that's fallen down and they're just gonna rebuild. Am I allowed to vote on this?
There's no personal financial gain from you voting on this.
No.
All right. Is the applicant here? I don't believe so.
This is the dock.
I'm the document.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say. Ron Lopez, 9382 Martin Jones Road, Jones, Florida. I'm here to answer any questions that the council may have on behalf of the project.
Thank you, sir. Council, any questions for the applicant's representative?
I think you just said that, but this is a remove and rebuild.
Yes, sir.
No expansion of.
It will extend towards the shore, but not further out towards the lake and not towards the setback as well. Yes, sir.
Council, any comments or concerns?
Your motion to approve.
Second, councilperson. Council, any further discussion? Seeing none, begin voting with councilperson. Aye.
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 Aye. Item 3 carries unanimously. Next up is item number 4. This is Z22-05. 1 First Court. This is a variance to allow a dock less than 16 feet side setback. DRB recommends approval with condition that an navigational study be done. The applicant work with the neighbor and provide a water depth survey as part of the building permit. That was recommended for DRB 32.
Yes, sir.
All the time tonight.
Yes, sir. That's it. So yeah, as you said, Aaron, this is at 1 First Court, and this is a variance for the dock. On this property, they have an existing dock on this property that's right on the edge of that side property line. And so what they are wanting to do is to put in a new dock that is in that same general area where the existing dock is. That is their request. We did receive several correspondence back to John property owners' concerns, and the most common concern we received back, and was actually presented at DRB, was about proximity to the floating dock that's out there in the middle of the canal at that location. And so there's concern about navigability and that kind of thing. Important point though is that the variance is not related to their extension out, the variance is related to the side setback. So that was where the conversation went, was there maybe another way to design this on the location. Where the conversation went was there was question about the navigability and also the water depths for a potential dock to go there. So as you read, Mr. Mayor, the motion is the navigation study as well as the depth survey and now also work with the property owner. That's what they have to do anyhow when they go through Orange County environmental permitting for their dock. In this particular case, typically, in this case, they have not gone to Orange County EPD yet. Typically, when we have dock variances, most of the cases we get, they've already gone through the Orange County process, where those kinds of evaluations and navigation and water depth and things have occurred, and we have that as part of our process here with the town. In this case, we don't have that you do not go through that process first, this variance. That is a requirement though, before he would be able to get a building permit from the town for the boat dock, and he does have to get the environmental permit first in Orange County. And he will also have to go through Orange County EPD also for a waiver for their setbacks. He will not meet their setbacks as well. We do have an objection from that adjacent property owner on that side, which if he maintains that objection with Orange County, that would then require a hearing process with Orange County also, not just the administrative work of that. So the applicant does have quite a bit of work still to do with this process and project. If the town were to approve it, if the town council were to approve this, all this would say is that you are approving it to be located at least about 6 feet from the side property line, but he still has to go through all the other permitting. If that requires something to change, that makes that less, it will come back to you. Most likely what would happen through the process is it would actually probably end up moving the dock further away from that property line. Where it is closer. So we do have the recommendation. It was a 3-2 vote. We did not have unanimous decision on that. Mr. Warren is here this evening with us.
Was the neighbor, did they approve?
The neighbor that's adjacent to the side, they did not, they had it. At least at the near meeting.
That because of the navigability?
No, can I speak for that?
Yeah, so they in their letter, they talked about, the concern about the location as well as the extension. They were not at the meeting, they had the letter, their letter is part of their package.
One of the factors here is that, Brad said it was a floating dock, but it's actually a fixed structure. It doesn't float.
Right.
It's fixed in that code. And so one of their, requests was for navigability around that thing, because you can't move that or can't pull it out of the way or reposition without tearing it down. It's the one that, it's in the little code for us. I know. 20 years ago.
And I'm sorry, sir, you wanted to make a comment, right?
That's all.
Absolutely. Please come up to the meeting. Podium around, give us your name and
Jason Roman, 1 Court, number 1.
let's see him. There you go.
I just wanted to clarify a couple of points on it. The dock, that structure is in the center of the area. We like our children use that thing, so I don't want to impede on that, and I don't want anything that would cause more concerns from folks that might be worried that that's going to be removed somehow. So one of my main concerns was to not go too far forward into the lake. And my neighbor's concern is, and I've talked with him a little bit, is the view from his house into the Bay Area, and that if I were to add more sort of boathouse structure, it might block his view. And we've talked through that. I've come up with different ways that I can maybe minimize those concerns of his. And he hasn't offered any further input as far as I know after that.
Council, any questions?
Yeah, just real quick. So, it says proposed addition. What is existing? So the existing wood dock on plan, is the roof wood deck existing as well? Or is that an addition as well?
No, that is the existing. So the existing is what you almost call a book slip structure. But it's not meant to accommodate a boat of any size. So essentially, it's a covered boathouse that can't get a boat in.
I think the red part is new on the diagram.
Right, so the part that goes out into the water is the new part of the structure.
But part of that dock that is existing goes out into the water.
Yes, part of it does. So basically we're taking what's there and we're kind of adding into it so that we get a walkway to the new dock off.
Yeah, I guess my point is that 6.9 feet is a continuation of the existing.
Yes.
So you're already at 6.9 feet property.
Right. Really not, it requires a variance, but I don't think that was the issue. with the neighbor. It was more sightline. It was more sightline.
Sideline, I think what Brian mentioned, that was the interest, the Orange County permitting.
Yes, sir.
Going forward, so. And just to be clear, we're approving or not approving 6.9 feet of construction from the property.
That is correct, yes.
Which already exists.
Yes, this is the extension that's already.
It's just gonna go top.
Yeah, not really taller, the roof line would be about the same height as the current roof. It would just come more forward into the lake so that you could actually get a boat under a cover. We have a motion on this side?
Yes, Mayor, motion to approve.
So motion to approve as written, right?
Yes, motion approved.
Just for clarification, we have a second? I'll second. Second, Councilperson Martin. Any further comments, questions, or concerns, council? Seeing none, we begin voting with Councilperson Abbott.
Aye.
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 Item Z 22-05, passes unanimously. Last variance for the night, Z 22-06, this is 11068 Bay Shore Drive, and this is a variance to allow a dock. That's the 16 feet side setback. The ARB recommends approval. 4-0, 1 abstention.
Yes, sir. So Mayor, as you said, this is the variance for another dock variance at 11068 Bay Shore Drive to allow the dock at less than 16 feet. This again is an existing dock that is already at that location. They're looking to do some additions to it. What was discussed at the development review board meeting was reasons for these additions were related to structural support of the dock and help as part of the repair. So that was presented at the DRB as part of the justification and reason for this variance is why they're doing these additions to the dock. So the DRB did recommend approval by a vote of 4-0. That one abstention will just reflect who is the contractor on the project. They're not here to speak.
So Brad, on this particular item, so there is currently a setback that is greater than what will be after this new addition is put on.
Yes, so they will be coming closer to the property line. Yes, sir.
And is that by about 3 feet? It's a little difficult to.
It's roughly about 3 feet. That's correct.
So I'm trying to scale it. So, all right, so it's 3 feet closer. And that's because existing dock is there.
Existing dock is there.
It's a big deal. Like that way.
I think the whole lot is like a wedge shed. The timber stores the lake.
We did receive no objection from the adjacent. And this is a case where they did already go through Orange County environmental protection, and they did receive the waiver for the setback. But again, as I always say to you all, That doesn't matter for your decision.
Right.
You had your own decision, but they did go through.
Just means you're further along in the process.
Absolutely.
And Brad, you mentioned that the dock extension along that side is for additional structural support.
That's what was specified to at the development review board meeting. We did not have it as part of what's submitted to the paperwork or what you see in your agenda this evening. But that was a testimony that was provided by the doctor.
Let's do there to run some piles of structural support.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve from Councilperson Rose, second from Councilperson Abbott. Council, any further comments, concerns, or questions? Seeing none, we can go to Councilperson Abbott.
Aye.
Aye. Variance C 22-06 passes unanimous. Thank you very much. Grab everyone, let you sit down. All right, council. Next item is under resolutions, ordinances, approval and/or first readings. This is resolution 2022-02. This is the Orange County 1 cent sales tax initiative. Basically, what we're doing tonight, council, is we are asking council to approve a resolution that will allow for this, or allow our support of it to go on board. Doesn't mean you support it, doesn't mean you have all the answers. It just means they can go to voters for their input, their decisions. This resolution of the town council of the town of Windermere, Florida, in support of the placement of a 1% transportation surtax referendum on the November 8th, 2022 countywide ballot for consideration by the voters of Orange County, Florida.
Like we're actually recommending it. I mean, not just that we agree it should go on the ballot.
No, the BOCC will be making a determination of what is in the ordinance itself, whether it's 1% or 0.5% or half a penny. And then also the distribution, whether it's 45, 45, 10, or it's 40, 40, 20, depending upon what is discussed at Florida County Commissioners meetings. That'll occur in March and April. But yes, this is just requesting that if they're going to make a decision, it goes to the county residents to decide, which again, you know, what it's going to be is still yet to determine whether it's going to be a 20-year, 30-year, 1 cent, half cent. That's still to be worked out, but it's saying that our support is for it to go to the county residents for a vote.
The essence of this.
So, and the town might get a portion of this.
You might.
Yes, based on the current, yeah, yes.
There's a lot of policy going on here. So,
Well, that was a question. The ramification if we don't approve this and the referendum goes to the Orange County voters and it's approved, and we're allowed.
Based on our discussions with staff, the representation is that we are not wanting to participate in the program. Currently, there's 2 areas like Buena Vista and then the other name escapes me.
Bay.
Yeah.
Bay Lake.
Bay Lake area. Disney. Those 2 areas are not willing to participate in the 1 cent sales tax distribution. But yes, if you do not support the initiative, then you're stating to Orange County BOCC that you're not willing to participate in the distribution of those funds.
And the real risk is you're still at the will of the people, right? Because you can end up paying, because you will pay, but you want it with no benefit. You approve the resolution, you have the opportunity to play, if it's still at the will of the people. So, I mean, pretty good.
I'm actually in favor of it, but I just wondered whether it's really meaning these homes.
Yes.
You gotta do.
It's a, you know, I think it's better to be part of it than not a part of it. It's something to do and make benefit with the town and also. Yeah, and if you don't, and then we go to complain, and say, well, you should have participated in the movement to change something. It's none of it's pretty trained.
I'm not a fan of new taxes, and good luck to them getting this passed because the price of gas went up 20% last week. However, I am a fan of the democratic process, so I think, I don't see any harm in letting Orange County voters make that decision. And if we benefit from it in the future, so be it.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve from Mr. Chiuso, number second. Second, Councilperson Hayes. Any further comments or concerns? Seeing none from council, we begin voting with Councilperson Martin. Aye.
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 Resolution 2022-02 passes unanimously. Next up is item 2. This is resolution 2022-03 that helped the West Orange Trails connection. This is a resolution of the town council of the town of Windermere, Florida, encouraging Windermere's participation in the Healthy West Orange Trails connection, providing for conflict severability and effective. And I think we have something made also.
Yes.
Super. Slightly on our shorter. Laundry. This nice person from the.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Emily Hannah. I am now the executive director of White Walk Central Florida, which is a nonprofit advocacy organization that promotes and increases safety and awareness for trails and safe streets, pedestrian safety, bicycle safety. And we have partnered recently with the Foundation for a Healthier West Orange and the West Orange Healthcare District to work with agencies and partners like yours to expand the trail system within West Orange County in hopes not only to use it for recreation, transportation, but also to activate those trail systems to have a healthier public, have a more robust economy, and of course support transportation and multiple modes of those transportations through West Orange County. As council member mentioned, gas being well over $4 a gallon, it's time to get out our bikes and start riding around doing the short trips. So we are asking essentially for your participation in that connection. As we utilize some funding the foundation has set aside to actually build those connections and truly activate the trail system. There are several other partners that are involved with this. I had a lengthy presentation planned for you this evening, but I'm not doing that today. In your packet, there's a list of all the stakeholders involved, which includes the organizations that I've listed, the partner cities that are also within West Orange County, within that district, FDOT, Orange County Parks, Planning, Transportation, etc. We're very excited to be a part of this initiative, growing this, and hopefully, if that sales tax does get passed, we can leverage those dollars and expand those opportunities to give real transportation options to your residents and the rest of us in West Orange County. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being brief as opposed to concise. Council, so in front of you, you have that resolution. I am.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Councilperson Tapp. Second. Second, Councilperson Baker. Council, any further discussions, comments, questions, concerns?
Just one quick question for the speaker. Where can we find out more information about the trail system?
Absolutely. You can check out our website, bikewalkcentralflorida.org. Also, the foundation and the district will have a landing page for the initiative that'll have all the events, all the upcoming activities that we'll have as we kind of progress into determining what it is that we're going to activate.
What was that website again?
Bikewalkcentralflorida.org. We actually created a regional trail map of all of these signature trails, bike sidewalks, bike paths, and bike lanes within Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties. Never been created before. So we do have that up on the website. You check it out. Very excited to expand it.
Yeah, I'll make sure I submit to you the presentation and the report as well. This is something that we've been working on with members of the West Orange County community for over a year, and it's starting to come to fruition. So we do want to thank everybody's participation in this, and we're looking forward to getting the trails connected and getting some of those multimodal options out there.
So I got on council 4 decades ago. You can start to do this. Right. So council, we have a motion and a second, and I think we've asked all our questions. How about we begin voting with,
Aye.
Good luck. Thank you very much, council, and thank you for your patience. So, increase ordinance number 22-02, regulating commercial activity. First reading of this ordinance, so we will need to discuss at our next meeting. We will have our second reading as well as a public hearing on this.
You can ask that question now, because if it doesn't substantially change the intent of the ordinance, then it can move forward to the second and final reading.
I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Rather you ask it now than we have to do a substantial change.
Yeah. So, will they still be allowed to do their tennis lessons like outside?
Yes.
And that's because the town has given them specific obligations.
Absolutely.
All I know.
So this is our first reading. This is an ordinance of the town council of the town of Windermere, Florida, regulating commercial activities on property owned by the town, amending Article 1 of Chapter 8, add a new section 8-1 to be titled Commercial Activities Prohibited on Town-Owned Property, Exceptions, providing for severability, codification, and effective date. Any other additional questions, council? Okay, so that'll be our first reading. We'll have our second reading and public hearing. Next up is appointments. Item 1, this is Development Review Board. This is an appointment for Mr. Craig Anderson, and the DRB recommends approval. Councilperson Ritchie, make a motion.
Yes, motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilperson Martini, second by Councilperson Rose. Again, voting Councilperson Beck.
Aye.
Unanimous. Next up is our Historic Preservation Board. This is for Hanji Moray. HGP recommends approval. I got you now. Not town manager evaluation.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Diane, second by Councilperson Martini. Any questions or comments, council? Seeing none, we'll begin voting with Councilperson Beck.
Aye.
Thank you all, and we appreciate all of our work. Contracts and agreements, Lake Hawk and Natural Gas Franchise Agreement. Staff recommends approval. Council. Otherwise,
Just quickly, does this include commercial properties? We get the same 6% or?
Yes, yeah, we'll get 6%, and then if it's negotiated further with another community, then it's favored nations, so where we would realize that additional percentage.
You mean like Ocoee, the better price than we just did?
Correct.
Cool. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Councilperson Rose, second to Councilperson. Councilperson Martini.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next up is the AMR, Amendment Medical Transportation Agreement. Staff recommends approval. I have asked that at the next opportunity for renewal that we fill. There are some other options. They are more expensive, but I think we should at least have that conversation at that point. Tonight, we have a 12-month agreement in front of us. Go ahead and to approve. Any questions?
So basically, if you call for 911 and you need ambulance, then this company automatically comes out. Okay. No other company.
AMR will be dispatched, and they will take you to the hospital.
Do they charge to the town or?
Insurance.
Insurance?
Yeah, we do not pay AMR for their services.
Right, it's, yeah, the same as it's always been,
Correct.
just a different company.
The same company. We were with Health Central until they sold, and then we went with AMR. So we've been with AMR since I think 2015.
This is a 1-year extension.
Yes, 1 year because we have a 90-day termination clause or renew clause, which is in May. And again, as Mayor O'Brien stated, it's going to give you some time to work with either a COE and some of the other vendors that's in our area.
I just think it's something we should probably have a conversation about, because right now, we should we have the best of the best, or at least we discuss that the best of the best, and make the decision that is the best that we can do at the time. But for now.
Remember, they used to do a report, like tell us how many runs they made and where they took people or. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the council.
I'll second.
Second, Councilperson Martin. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, we can go into the first.
Aye.
Aye. Next up is item G. This is the town staff paving presentation. This is approval of new sex piggyback bid not to exceed $400. Staff recommends approval.
Very quickly. So we have worked out some paving projects for FY 2022. We picked 10 locations that are in need of paving. You'll notice these are along 6th Avenue, Windermere, and Main Street in McGuire. We have an area in Horizon Circle that I need to correct from previous work by previous public works director. And then we have the entirety of Lake Butler Boulevard as a surface and a resurface and a mill and resurface. So we're happy actually to present this to you all tonight. Many people in the audience may think, what about 2nd Avenue? Why isn't it on here? It's not on here because it'll be it'll be repaired as part of that 2nd Avenue project. So these are the sections that we identified. It was a team of myself, John Fitzgibbon, and Travis Mathias. And then we reviewed that with Councilman Davitt. As you can see, the great part of this is we're going to be able to resurface, mill and resurface Lake Butler. So that came in at $406,977.51 based on the Seminole County agreement. So what you have to do this evening is waive the town's fiscal policy, which requires a bid within the last 12 months, because this was actually bid in 2019. That's going to be in the best interest of the town, considering the construction prices right now. So we are requesting town council approval on a one-time basis for Middlesex, using the 2019 Seminole County contract piggyback, as it is in the best interest of the town.
So they're honoring their costs from 2019.
Yes.
Wow.
So for paving $2,019, which is, I mean, I'm seeing cost overruns in the annual of 40 to 50% on pavement, so.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that it costs asphalt.
Oh,
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah, you're absolutely spot on.
And I've asked them to be prepared to work either the 1st or 2nd week of April to start these repairs, because I really want to get these potholes gone.
It's also within our normal paving budget. I think the difference is $1,000 over. So I recommend approval. We get a motion and motion over. That's fast. All right. We have second councilperson David. Seriously, any questions? Please speak up.
The only one I have is 6th Avenue, please schools out.
Pardon me, what'd you say?
Please those schools out.
Yes.
And could you add 10th and Main? We're just a little late.
It's like a little pavement spills up. Next up is item. I'm just so ahead of myself. We need to vote. Any further? All right. You're gonna go in with Councilperson Marquis.
Aye. One comment here, I just want to congratulate Tommy and her team for doing that.
Yeah, that's a great council. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And that's what I'm talking about, the staff here. Get creative and think out of I think this is where we
That's its place.
Oh, you're gonna do the presentation. I thought you were just hanging out because you like this. Okay, there you go, sir.
You walk out of the house,
Yeah,
So you got to do it from our grand over the ball game.
On, further report, on page 370 of your agenda, it allows an optional 12-foot gate for resident, at resident expense to access this property through the park. Why would a resident be given access to their property through town property? Not only does this create a precedent, but it has to take limited use space already. If we're gonna have a gate there and restrict our use of the boat ramp area. So I am totally opposed to this, and I don't understand why this is even considered, that we would let someone do that. If we do, then I'm sure that some of the ones that live along Magnolia would like to access their backyards through the park. Some of the other parks also. I just, I was really amazed to find that on.
I know that they had a sign up there, don't block the driveway for years. That's been an access, I guess, if they go to their backyard. It's a permanent park.
Yeah, we reached out to Mr. Willard relative to the history behind it. And from what I understand, it's always been there for access for landscapers working on his boat dock. And then also he has a boat trailer where he stores his boat back there as well. He is willing to formalize the agreement since there's, I guess, only been just an understanding based upon the sale of the house and the use of it for over, I guess, 10, 15 years now, that he would pay for the gate that's located there, again, just to grant him access to get to his backyard. Similar to, I think, what we have on Fifth and Forest, next to the brewery for the back gate for their access to get to the drain field, so on and so forth. So, this is only a portion of the entire presentation, which would establish the fence line to identify the boat ramp, and then also put in a new gate, which would be coded to where you'd have to punch in a code as opposed to using a key. So every resident would get a gate, not every resident, but whoever buys a boat pass would then get a key code that is specific to them. And which also narrows it down to if they were to give somebody that does not have a key code, we could go back, figure out exactly what time that key code was punched in and look at the actual cameras and see who is utilizing that boat ramp pass. It also gives us the ability to sell a boat pass for an entire year, just not on October 1st. So if they buy in July, they would buy it for the entire year to next July. Right now, the way we have it is you buy a key and it's only good until October 1st because we have to rekey it. We can't sit there and just, keep rekeying it. And the fence is, I believe, 8 foot high.
6 foot.
6 foot high. So it's tall enough to give the appearance of, not putting to where it's low enough and we'll just climb over or anything like that. There will be a pedestrian gate, as well as that's going to be having a gate code as well. You're going to have to, in order to get a code, like the boat pass code. But we're still working on the logistics of that because you still want to have access for people to go out there to enjoy the lake, the view and stuff like that. But you still want to prevent the people that are using that area as a jump off point, even though it's prohibited, you know, you just don't want to use that. So we're trying to figure out additional, I guess, barriers for people to use that park for nefarious activities.
Yeah, because I walk by it. Take the dog down.
Yeah.
From it, just a minute or two, take off.
Yeah, and we would leave.
Buy a key.
Yes, and we're looking at probably, if we order today, it would be implemented in July. And once it's implemented, we would leave it open for 30 days to give people that have gate keys, boat ramp keys, to go ahead and turn that in for a gate code.
Is there a fence there now along Mr. Willard's property?
No, there's a little sign that says do not block, little white sign.
Robert, what about the other side? There's a wall. There's a wall here. Is there like
Animes?
further over by Ron Taylor's? There a wall?
You know, you put blockage. This part blocks.
Yeah.
The purple part, yeah. So there's no requirement.
Not at this time.
And racetrack.
So if he kept it just like it is now, and he got a key gate code, could let his guys coming through there to go to his yard without fencing.
But I think our intent is to stop people from,
Yeah, you still have to fence because they walk around through his front yard.
yeah, we would utilize, he has a lot of shrubbery in that area as well, that we would probably meander around it because we don't want to disturb like a natural buffer. So we would go a little, not directly on the property line, but a little bit to the west of that.
That he's paying for it.
Yes, ma'am.
Paying for the gate, not the fence.
But the fence we're putting up because otherwise people go around and get in there. At least in his front yard, they go around.
Yeah, and sorry to take all of Tanya's thunder.
No, please do.
But yeah, I think this is a great plan. It's going to push everything further out, and then we'll have the no parking on weekends along Butler and 7th. So it pushes the parking over to 5th and Forest.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion approved from Councilperson Rose, motion, or second rather, Councilperson David. Any further comments or concerns? Seeing none, we'll begin voting.
Aye.
Aye. Carries unanimously for. Mayor or council liaison reports. That's this is great. Any additional items? Staff reports, we'll start with you, Robert.
Thank you. I'll be as brief as possible. We have a mid-year report in April. So far, all revenues and expenditures are on track. So hopefully we can release some additional expenditures that are additional needs, like the pavement management plan and the assessment of town hall. And again, that'll be discussed in April. We'll be discussing the Oakdale traffic concerns in April with the public meeting. It's not a town council meeting, it's more of an information gathering meeting with the public. We're also having a board and committee meeting. It's going to be a joint meeting, not only to inform them of, again, public records and sunshine laws, but also for each one of them to get an understanding of what each of the boards and committees is working on, to get that synergy, so nobody's duplicating efforts, and or they can see what the big picture is for each and every one of them. What I want their goals to be is have a 1-year plan, 3-year plan, and a 5-year plan, and actually establish a CIP that they can follow and give them direction. And again, not duplicating efforts. In April, we'll also have 3 RFQs, possibly 4, depending upon how quickly we can get some of these meetings completed. We have an RFP for food trucks that went out. We decided not to select a vendor through that RFP process. There's one respondent, and we're just going to go ahead and run the food truck events in-house. State appropriations, doesn't look like we're going to receive any appropriations this fiscal year. Hopefully, if we ask again next year, first time they say no, second time they start putting you in their crosshairs, and hopefully the third year we'll start getting some state appropriations. We did receive some information back from the federal appropriations, and it's still waiting to be seen once they go through the budgetary process, whether or not we're going to get that 760 for the multimodal pass / pedestrian bridge.
So better than the state option though.
Yeah, state option is pretty much didn't water, wasn't even part of the consolidation arguments between the Senate and the House. And again, this year we didn't have a co-sponsored bill in the Senate. We had Joe Thompson on the House side. But for the entire state, I believe that FTC was receiving 50 million. And everyone brings up the infrastructure plan. I think that's about 17 billion for the entire state. And just with some of the appropriations that some of the other bigger municipalities have requested, it doesn't seem like that money is going to pay for a smidgen of what people are asking for. I know the needs for Orange County are over 18 billion right now. Sewer costs, I did submit that out to council, and we'll be discussing how to put money away and or do just a preliminary report. So if we are to look at appropriations or potential funding sources, we have that story to tell, like we do with the water master plan. The grand opening, we have a meeting tomorrow to go over when we'd be able to go ahead and have the grand opening of the new facilities. Again, we don't want to set a date and have that dictate how fast we have to move on things or some of the adjustments today. They're working on the roof. And then board and committee liaison assignments that will be discussed at the April Town Council meeting. So we'll go ahead and ask each council member for their wish list of where they want to sit on as far as boards and committees, provide that to the mayor for the next council meeting, and then have that discussed.
Mayor first, second, third. He's first, second, third.
Yeah, and
No way. No fourth.
so I guess if you have no intentions of running again, become admin liaison based on precedent for the last 3 years.
Track record is long and distinguished.
But no, I appreciate everything you guys have done for me as far as evaluations. I take those comments to heart, and again, I thank staff. I couldn't do it alone, so thank you all.
Comment on your report for the one you and John has given on your
For the project reports.
project report. I know you're looking at the bricks and what to do with the problems there.
Yes.
I'll make a suggestion. We do it in theme parks all the time. It's stamped concrete. It will look just like brick. I made the suggestion to put the brick one in, but if I'm still making it, so I think you should look at it.
Yes.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, we're looking at just an immediate fix, and then we're going to be taking it to long-range planning as far as what to do with the. It's now a separate line item in our projects list to see what we can do for the downtown area and the bricks, because there's some other areas, not other areas, but I know the city of Orlando has implemented a different type of laying the bricks with different aggregate. So hopefully that'll cure the issue. If not, again, we'll take the LRP for the recommendations.
Oh, the stage concrete and the already takes
Yes, when we present, we'll have John tell you what happened.
Pumping action, the pumping action.
Well, yeah, they didn't put in what they originally planned to put in, and that's why we're seeing some of the issues that we see today. Yes, we did save money on the town facility. Do you think John just giving us some more on that? We came under budget by $500. In today's age, with the amount of delays and the way that costs are going up, you know, it's amazing that they negotiated everything down to where it's actually $500 in savings to the town.
Really appreciate it.
Yes.
One time I actually told my boss that we came in under budget, he said, well, then we gave you too much money.
Nothing for me. I'll save mine for the next meeting.
So we have a legislative session wrap up that we're going to hold at Great Robinson. You'll each get an email about it. It'll be on April 20th from 5 to 6:30. It's usually really good. And I had a couple comments super quick and kick off the bad ones. There's a new tree protection bill, which amends the restrictions that they have against the local governments for removal of dangerous trees. Hopefully this is going to pass because it gives more definitions and less restrictions. There's a pop-up events bill. If it's adopted, then the town can designate a special event zone if a pop-up event is promoted on social media, which would help achieve. And there's a regulation of smoking in public places, which you might want to use for, should we have any issues with that. And that's it.
I'll be brief as well. Thanks for the new facility. We've got in this month, so we're real happy about that. We did some citizen training. I'm still working on the SRO budgets. And Mayor, if you're interested, if you're around March 17th, I'll be hosting the next Chiefs luncheon at our new facility. So if you have an opportunity to stop by or any council member, please do that. And then also, as a reminder, March 22nd is the anniversary of our year. And I'll post something about that.
We have an election day.
Thank you for reading. Nothing else for the good of the order, we will adjourn to the battery.
Sign.